Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 284. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside Johnny V.
How you doing? What's up?
What
What are you looking at?
I see that you switched out our chairs. No?
Nope.
Or the same chairs? Oh.
Same chairs. So for those of you that are Patreon supporters, or those of you who have caught us on YouTube, I put a little video out there of the updated studio. A quick little tour. I ran to IKEA yesterday to get a curtain rod for behind here. We actually have like a lot of space behind us now. We can't touch the wall like we used to. But they were having a sale on a really nice chair for like $50. It was like a business office chair. And I almost bought it for us. One for each of us.
I was going to say, if we shared one, people might wonder.
There were a few couches there. I was thinking that, like, putting like a couch behind us.
Dude, we don't have the USDGC broadcast, so we can't.
You and I are right there, because that's the first thing I thought of when I saw the couch. I'm like, we need Hannah.
Yep.
We need Jamie.
We need the champ.
We need the champ in his kind of short shorts.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have worked out for us.
We'll throw this offer out there right now. If Hannah, the champ, and Jamie Thomas come visit us in Milwaukee at our SmashBox TV studio, we will go out and purchase a couch, and then we will make it that official setting here. We'll change up the set a little bit. I would be honored to do so. It'd be great to have those guys join us, and I couldn't think of a better way to do it. So welcome, everyone. Now that talking furniture is over with Terry and Johnny, we're glad you guys could join us again. SmashBox TV podcast, talk a little bit about some disc golf tonight, some things going on in the disc golf scene. Of course, things are ramping up. Off-season officially coming to a close. On-season about to officially begin. Some exciting things going on. Big events in the horizon. We'll recap a few that just happened in the last few weeks as well. But events like the Wintertime Open, Las Vegas Challenge, Memorial, all right around the corner, taking up the next 3 weeks. And then shortly after that, of course, as we know, the opening of the National Tour as well. So as many of you already know, I just returned yesterday from Taiwan. I had the pleasure of being at the 2020 Asia Open after I attended the Samui Swine Classic in Thailand. I then went over to Taiwan. And once Dynamite Vichy gets on the line with us, we'll talk about that and recap it just a little bit. Yeah, that guy. Stepping back into yesteryear like it was 2019.
No, I told Dana this because Dana asked, "Oh, you guys have a guest?" And I said, "Yeah, it's Zoe." I feel like it's 2015. We got Dana, we got Zoe. This is original Smashbox tonight.
That is true. Bringing in all the heavy hitters. We're going to get an update from Zoe and uPlay Disc Golf, of course, the organization that her and a lot of other disc golf enthusiasts and good friends and ambassadors have been heading up. So we'll get an update from her. I know she's had some great stuff going on in the off season, and so glad to finally catch up with her. And then in a similar sense, great to finally catch up with Dana. He's also been having a pretty busy off season, more so with work and family life than per se with SmashBox TV life. And so I'm super excited that we'll be having him back here tonight. I wanted to throw it out there that I also had just barely missed. We were close to having our Samui Swine female champion, Sarah Holcomb, join us, but she was just about the exact same time she's going to be boarding her plane and finally leaving Thailand. So we didn't want to delay that anymore, as much as she would have loved the excuse. But Sarah, I said to her last week as we were wrapping up the show, which again was happening on a Wednesday for us over in Thailand, and she went and did an elephant sanctuary that day with a number of other golfers. She's like, "What do I got to do to get on Smashbox?" She's like, "I was just a few hundred feet away." I'm like, "You have an open invite." I genuinely thought you would just join us.
Just walk over.
And walk on over. But
that goes for most pros, but especially if you've just won and you see Terry and you want to be involved in Smashbox, just literally either push him out of the way, sit down.
Just sit down, take over.
If we have another guest, pull them away and just sit down so rudely. I think Sarah always has an open invite, as do most of our pros.
Yes, and speaking of Sarah's, huge shout out to your wife, Sarah, who is celebrating her 32nd birthday?
27th birthday.
How many times over?
This would be 15 probably.
Okay, well, nonetheless, happy birthday to your wife
43 today.
Oh, Sarah.
No, she's literally upstairs.
Oh, no, I wasn't paying any kind of tribute to her. She is right above
Sarah.
us.
Oh, yeah, like literally.
So happy birthday to her. So gracious of her to let the show go on, so to speak. And speaking of wives, Ashley Vichy out there on the board saying she thought our show got canceled. No.
That
Ashley.
is only what Dana told you in order for you to get a little peace.
So again, Dynamite's going to join us here in a moment, and then after that we'll be having Zoe Andyke, and then who knows where things may or may not go for the after show. But super excited to be here tonight. Are we ready for Dynamite, or do you need a moment?
We are ready.
All right. Without further ado, maybe we can even cue up like it's definitely old school. Thanks to AJ Risley and the intro. Here's Dynamite.
Boom goes the Dynamite.
Yeah, buddy.
Looking good.
Dynamite, how are we doing?
T-Dog, Johnny V, good to see you. Now, real quick, there hasn't been a show for the last couple months, right? You guys have been on hiatus.
Correct.
Yeah, you missed the memo. We were taking we were on sabbatical, both of us.
It wasn't you. It wasn't you. It was us. We took a break.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how these things work. Don't worry. You didn't miss anything. We were just busy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was wondering because I've been sitting next to my computer every Tuesday night, and the call never came in. So
the phone lines get crossed up from time to time. We still have a problem with phones and Cat 5 cables and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
In all seriousness, glad you could join us. A person has been clamoring for you, and
It was Ashley. Please take him Tuesday nights, please.
But we are really glad to have you back. We're of course looking to have you back more often as we're getting into the mix of the season. And did I hear you say you might come in hot with a new segment even this year, or did I just make that up and encourage you to do so?
Yeah, that's a little encouragement. It's in the works right now.
I like that.
Definitely going to be throwing out big hugs every week, and I'm going to see if I can come up with some sort of hot take to get the social medias buzzing and hating me.
Okay. Well, I've learned it doesn't take much when you get out there and put yourself out there. But let's quickly touch on the personal family life. Everything good? You and the two little ones and your wife?
So we went through a tough spell, which was one of the reasons for my hiatus. Old Lucy, my little sweet Lucy, who's now 2, we had some sleep problems starting on about Christmas Eve. For about a month, she really didn't sleep. Ultimately, we built a cage, put it over her crib, got her locked up in there, and we just throw her in there and forget about it now. So
wow, it's like you work at the border.
Yeah, we took one right out of the. Never mind. But no, we did, in all sincerity, have some severe sleep deprivation going on in our house. But right now, at this moment, everyone's healthy and everyone's pretty happy. Myself included, and I'm grateful for that. And because I do like to sleep. I know Terry doesn't really care about sleep, but Johnny, you might be able to relate.
I certainly can.
And then a little bit more on the business side, we'll say, for any that somehow don't know, you are an employee of Discmania, and you perform day-to-day tasks, like every day, so to speak. You're punching a clock and you're doing work with them. Kind of give a quick overview of your job description or some of your regular duties with Discmania.
Yeah, so I'm the wholesale accounts manager. So that's for existing accounts. So I do a lot of customer service stuff there, a lot of back end things, getting ready for releases for our dealers. On top of that, I do a little bit of everything back there, some content creation, mostly writing articles. You're not going to see this mug in front of the camera too often unless it's Tuesday nights. But it's a great gig. It's flexible. I wake up before the kids get up. I work for an hour or so, and clock out, and then the kids get them fed and dressed, and on to daycare and school, and then come back home and work for the rest of the day. And it's yeah, it's a good gig, good company, good people, and I get to work in the disc golf industry. And it doesn't mean that I play more disc golf.
No, in
It
fact,
never
you,
does.
In fact, you were just recently kicked off the team, right?
Yeah, that's what we heard in the offseason. You were one of the big
during our hiatus.
Yeah.
That's why we went on hiatus. It was actually mourning.
Yeah, and a little bit of a protest.
Yeah.
I missed the Alt World article about my leaving Team Discmania. But no, I wanted to open up some space for some up and coming players, some more deserving players. I'm still going to play tournaments, probably, in that 8 to 12, 8 to 15 range if I get lucky or get a fire lit under my butt. But yeah, the time has come. I had a really nice run with of course, Vibram, and then year with Prodigy, and then these last 4 years or so with Discmania, which the last 2 including a signature disc. But I just wasn't, it was time for me to step back and I've got family, and then obviously the work, as we just talked about, and yeah, it opened up. Maybe I'd like to think it opened up some space for some of those great up and coming players like a Gavin Rathbun out of Illinois, who's now with Team Discmania. He opened up the year with a big win down in Florida a few weeks back. So I'm glad that some other people may get to sharing the joy of being sponsored. And as I said, I had a good run. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to play disc golf, but just won't have any of those sweet bonuses or roaming thunders anymore.
So with that, do you find that you guys are always still searching? How does that work? I know that's a little bit more of a team manager role, or maybe a team manager role. But give us even in the stock response when someone says, "Hey, I'm looking to get sponsored by Discmania." What's the advice, or what's something that you immediately would tell someone?
It's a good question. For us, first, I'd say the first step is reaching out to whether it's Avery Jenkins, who's our team manager, or sending a general inquiry to us. But what you're going to hear from Avery and most responses is that you should attend a combine. So we developed the Discmania Combine a few years back. I think this year there's going to be 3 of them, but it's basically similar to the NFL Combine, where you go, you show up, you do skills tests in the morning, and then you play a round of golf, and it's all points based. And then from there, some of the top point earners or people that turned Coach Jenkins' head will move on to an interview round, and then ultimately we will pick up X amount of players. That's mainly how we're picking up players these days. So that's where it is with Discmania. Some of the other companies, I'd say it's probably similar, where you're just reaching out. But for us, most of our team additions are filtered through the combine. While we did pick up Gavin, as I mentioned earlier, and Dustin Keegan was another one of our pickups this year. Those guys weren't through the combine, but we had talked, and there was mutual interest between the two parties. So both those are, Dustin's a little more established than Gavin, but Gavin he's a kid that's got a really high ceiling, and as I said, going to be out on tour this year. So it was an easy decision for us.
Awesome. Now, I have another idea for sponsorship, and you guys could take it or leave it. What if I showed up to a tournament and beat 4 of the top, say, 20 players in the world, and you've maybe never seen me at a combine or maybe ever seen me at another tournament before, but I decide to just show up and take down all these other players in a 66-person field. How does that sound, Dana?
But can you throw far?
Yeah, I throw farther than everyone else on the card, including one of your own sponsored players. How would that work?
Do you have a catchy name?
I mean, I once had a show, Jackie. No, I guess it's just Jackie. Yeah, Jackie Chen might be trying this approach. I don't know. Pretty incredible story, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's aside from maybe, I'd say that definitely trumps any other story from the last week, including Chris Dickerson's 1100 rated round. I mean, that makes it seem whatever. Chris Dickerson shot 1100 round. Cares? We got Jackie Chen just dominating the Asia Open, beating a number of we'll call them that world-class players. You know, the defending U.S. champion Philo, Nate Perkins, and was there another
Manabu Kajiyama, who's won the event. Yeah. This event, I believe, at this course 3 times running. He's the defending champ, and I think they've played it the last 3 times at this temporary course, so he's very familiar with the property. Yeah. I might be somewhat mistaken there, but it's along those lines. So he's obviously a veteran of that event and I think of this course. So Manabu, as much as fierce of a contender as any of the other 3 we just mentioned.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Jackie Chen, incredible. Terry, I know, there's been a Alt World article. You've put out a little bit of content. Excuse me. What can you tell us about this kid? And I say kid, he's 22.
Yeah. I'll try to quickly just run down what I know. And his incredible story, of course, in taking down the win this week. And he's 22 years old. He has played one other PDGA event before. I know a lot of people have said that this was his first. It was actually his second. He played in 2018 at what they call the 30th Nationals, which is an event in Japan. And he opened that tournament by besting Manabu by 2 strokes. Then the following round he played, so he took the lead right off the bat, came out of the gates with the lead. Then the second round that they played, he tied Manabu, which was also rated 1040 or 1050. And then the third and final round is when he fell off. He lost the lead to Manabu, and he only shot 978. And so that was technically his first ever PDGA debut, and that was in 2018. So fast forward year and a half, here in the early goings of 2020. He just got his, I asked him when we shared a ride together, I said, when did you get your PDGA number? He's like, I think it was December or January. So he's that fresh that his PDGA number is, that's why it's such a high number. He just acquired it. I did talk to Guru of the PDGA, who used to be our executive director. Now he's the international director, and he attends a lot of international events and is kind of the eyes and ears out there on an international level. And he said that they will, because they know of where he played, they will likely go back and credit or attribute that event to him and his rating, because he did technically play in it. And that's actually a common practice. So it's not like they're doing him a special favor.
With the 2018 one?
Yeah.
No, that's going to hurt him. He shot a 978.
I know. He had a 978 round in there.
Unless it falls out of... No, it's in the most recent 10, so it won't fall out of the standard deviation. And
don't call on Chalk. Hold on.
No, I'm not going to say... Hey, you said his name once.
I know.
Two more times.
At any rate, so when you add up all 6 of his rounds, what 1022, 1030, whatever his number is, it's ridiculous. So whatever he'll debut with, some are talking about, is this going to be the highest debut PDGA rating for someone? And I would have to think that's the case. And when I asked him influences, I said, you clearly mimic Paul McBeth. You can see it in his stance, in his run-up, his form. He pulls on his right pant leg right before he putts, where he kind of like wipes his hand but kind of pulls on it for just to make sure it's loose. Exactly like Paul does. I mean, exactly. I'm going to line up 2 videos and show everyone what I'm talking about. He holds a putter up in front of him, kind of the way Paul does. So I asked him at the end, I said, you clearly mimic Paul or the other pros. And he said, yeah, I definitely watch Ricky Wysocki quite a bit as well. To think this guy's official training has been YouTube. Like, if you really think about it, that's where he's learned to play disc golf, which is incredible. And not only did he learn and take tips and pointers and analysis, but then he went out and is able to actually apply it and then get the results from it. He definitely throws 500 feet plus, and he's an incredibly solid putter. He's got a forehand that's not quite as strong as his backhand, and he has some mental capacity in terms of keeping it together as he's has to close out this tournament. He comes from behind to close out the tournament and edge out Philo, charging Nate Perkins, and Manabu. I just don't know how you could write up a better story that's nonfiction.
No, and then to add a chapter to it, the PDJ ratings updated today, and he's 1040 rated.
Oh, so that is real, because someone just asked me on the board if they saw a screenshot, and I said, well, it's probably fake because he won't get a rating until the next update. But seeing as other updates came out today, I am very sorry to apologize to Jimbo Slice out there. I didn't realize the ratings updated today, so that is a legit. That is probably a legit screenshot. Then
well, it says a little plus 1040 next to his name.
Yeah,
I hope someone screenshots that. That's great.
Yeah. So I was just gonna pull it up right now and double check. So his PDJ number, for anyone that is listening or cares, is 128836, and he's listed in the something district. I'll just say I learned a little geography, and in talking to him, that's a district somewhere in or near Taipei, which is on the north side of Taiwan. Somebody had kind of jokingly said, well, home course advantage. I'm like, no, it's a temporary course that got set up on Friday so that they could play it Saturday and Sunday. And he didn't play it the last time it was there in 2017. And it's like 5 hours from his house. So not a home course advantage either. Again, you'd have to really give the advantage to Manabu, who has played that in the past. So, and it looks like they do have his 2018... Yes, okay, the 30th National Championship, as referred to, back in September of 2018. They listed that event,
but
and
that's not included in his ratings detail because it was over a year. I wasn't sure if they would include just the last 10 regardless, or if it was just within the last year. But according to his ratings detail, the only 3 events that they're using are the 3 rounds from the Asia Open.
All right, so he's on a Chris Dickerson pace, though. He's got 2 events and 1 career win, so he's averaging 50% win. Which we know that the C. Dick Slayer, as I just called him, right?
No, please don't.
I think that's
no.
That's a thing already. I already said it. But anyway, Jackie, humble, gracious, has a little bit of English. I got to do my first ever translated interview. I'd like to thank Gary, the tournament director's son. Gary was the one that did the translation. So that I could do the interview, which actually kind of gave me chills when I was talking to him, thinking about, again, this is where disc golf has arrived. I mean, I'm blessed and fortunate to be in Taiwan covering disc golf, and here I am talking to someone that just won the tournament, and his story is so incredible. I just have to say, like, that is a moment, like so many of our other really impressive moments, that's a moment I'll probably never forget.
And it's just a shame that no one was able to get this on film. Or did you?
Wait, I
Wait
did.
A minute. And that's coming out tomorrow, right?
Yeah. if you're in some other country, no.
If you're listening to this in the future.
So Dana, sorry, I'm going to quickly address that because I know a lot of people are clamoring for it, and I understand that. These last 3 weeks have been a whirlwind a little bit for me. I did start out by covering the 2 27-hole rounds that took place at the Maricopa Meadows, or the Maricopa Open. That very night, I left to go to Thailand. I ended up covering 4 or 5 rounds of golf, plus Gio covered 3 rounds of golf at the Samui Swine. We did all of our other obligations there. And then we moved over to Taiwan to cover, little did I know, 4 rounds, ultimately of 18, at the Asia Open. So lots of editing has been going on. There's actually a few files out there that are ready for commentary. A few more need to be put together. So I know people are really clamoring because they want to see this kid and they want to see this story, even though I think all 3 events had their highlights. But it's all in the works. I'm working on it. That's the best I can tell you.
Now, can I give you a tip?
Yes, please.
We got the Wintertime Open coming up. There's about 30,000 plus rated players there.
Go cover that too.
I'm assuming Central Coast or someone is going to be recording that. Get this out. People are jonesing. Strike while the iron's hot. I know I don't need to say that, but what I do need to say is what's Jackie's plans? I mean, he made a huge splash. He got the 1040 rating today. Are we going to see him? We're not going to see him again till next year. Are we going to see him? The Japan Open is coming back next year. We'll maybe see him there over, is he going to be in Taiwan? Can we coax him over to the U.S. to see what he does against, the U.S. field?
Yeah, I would love to see that. Nate Perkins had some very high accolades, saying he may be one of the top 20 players in the world. And he was definitely raving about just how good of a golfer he was and how impressive he was. And for someone like Nate, who sees so many good players every single weekend, of course, I feel like those come with a little extra weight coming from someone like him. I said, would you like to play, or are you going to play? And he just said, along with his sponsorship, he's like, yeah, I'd like to be sponsored and I'd like to play more. But he didn't necessarily say, yes, I have a plan to go to the States, or yes, I'm coming to tour, or I'm going to come play a bunch of events. I don't want to say we didn't have that conversation, but it didn't feel like that's where his plans were headed at the moment. Now, if a sponsor came along, and I'm not just throwing this on a sponsor's shoulders, but if a big opportunity came along to get him going, I think that might be what would be enough to jumpstart that conversation more.
I think what would be kind of cool for a sponsor, let's say there's a few probably people already have reached out to him trying to get a hold of him. I know these sponsor contracts tend to come with, you get a monthly supply of discs. Maybe the sponsorship for this year is we'll bring you to the Worlds, and that's the deal.
Sure,
you come to Worlds, we'll cover your costs, and then we'll address, and maybe make it a 2-year deal or something along the lines to sweeten the pot, because the other sorts of sponsorship might not be of much interest to him if he can't play a lot. If he, just being able to bring him over for 1 or 2 really big events could be that thing that seals the deal.
Well, I'm going to follow that up and say I had a manufacturer representative reach out to me personally and say, so what exactly is the deal with him? And I said, he's the real deal. This clearly wasn't a fluke, as you saw, we saw him perform the way he did. But I don't know what his plan is, and therefore I could see a little hesitation from the manufacturers being like, okay, we'd love to, align with him, put our name on his back, but what is he really capable of doing, or is he interested in doing? And I think that's what he needs to figure out. But I think a potential sponsor could maybe, I don't want to just say sweeten that pot, but could get that ball rolling, so to speak.
Interesting.
So
definitely a story to watch. When will we see him again? If it's just going to be overseas in Asia, or maybe I don't know if Europe, what's more accessible to him, where he's, but definitely something to watch.
Yeah, just an incredible story. And for those that were asking as well, I'll throw it out there. I saw him throwing a lot of Innova product, and I saw him throwing, I wouldn't say as much, but I definitely saw him throwing some Discraft product. So, and I don't think he's necessarily, I asked him directly, would he entertain sponsorship from various companies, and he sounded very open. Now, would he go to a brand he doesn't throw at all? I don't know, but right now, Discraft or Innova, I would say definitely at least have a leg up on any other potential offers.
I'm gonna send him a message to see if he'll come to a combine.
All right. Yeah, I hope he can come impress you at a combine when he's out throwing all of your pros that are helping run it. That's no rip on Avery, but yeah, Jackie don't need no stinking
Avery's
combine.
age now.
I know, that was another thought I had. Watching someone like Philo, who's turning 40 this year. That was something that was going through my head. If I were to say be interviewing Philo as the winner, I was thinking, this Jackie kid is almost half your age, and an up and coming stud for sure. And yeah, it's just incredible. So
yeah, and just the last thing for me, it's why we might, right now we just don't know. We might not see him for another year. Literally might not. And maybe he doesn't show up next year. Like, we didn't see him. He played an event in 2018 and then didn't see him again until 2020.
I will say he plays, and I got to give a huge shout out to George Kamenos, who was on our podcast more than once in the last few months. George is in Korea, and he had said he's seen him at monthlies and at kind of pop-up events, as they call them, which are usually not sanctioned. And George has mentioned Jackie by name before as someone to look out for. So tip of the hat to George, because he clearly was spot on by somewhat calling that. Now, I don't know if we predicted, Jackie to bust out the way he did at this event, but he was at least already on George's radar, and George being in that area. So not seeing him at other events in the past, I don't think is indicative of his game or his commitment. I think it's more about availability and options, because they're just not as prevalent in terms of PDGA events over there. But
so he's just beating on those other players in those local events.
Oh yeah, smashing them. So you brought up a great point, Dana. What have you heard about the 2021 Japan Open?
Just seeing rumors that it's back. I don't have any other insights other than I don't know if an event page popped up or something, but a good friend Taylor Samala, who his wife and Ashley and I, we all traveled to the last Japan Open together. He immediately messaged me. It was probably like a month ago, or I'm not even sure, but he said Japan Open's back 2021. So I unfortunately don't have any good insights to lend here aside from it's coming back, and I would love to go.
I have heard the same rumor. I've got on pretty good authority that we will see it in 2021. It will not be in the Nasu Highlands as it was in 2006, 8, 10, and 14. It will not be in the same location. South and west of Tokyo, it's a city that starts with an M, and I apologize because that means nothing to most of you. South and west of Tokyo, though, if I recall looking at the map, Mulkin or something like that comes to mind. I heard actually two different cities mentioned, but I did hear on good authority that it is in the return stages, and we're going to see some form of the 2021 Japan Open again, which I will say I don't think it's going to be quite at the grand scale that we've seen it in years past, but just the idea of a large scale event, well organized with people like Kozo Shimbo at the helm, is very exciting. So if you know any history of the Japan Open, you know that it's an incredible event run by great people, and it's an absolute treat to be involved with it. So I think you echo what everyone else is thinking that's had anything to do with it in the past, which is the Japan Open is something you would immediately put on your list to be part of.
Absolutely. It's a trip of a lifetime. The Japanese people are incredible. And as you said, the event organizers, Kozo Shimbo, they're awesome. And they go above and beyond what probably you've ever seen here in the States at an event. So start saving those.
Yeah, start saving up your yen.
Somebody is saying no more 150 class rule. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's a good question for what we saw in Taiwan. There were no weight restrictions, even for me, in Taiwan this last weekend. So I know when we've seen the Japan Open for many years, it was 150 class and under. When we were there, at least in 2010, they slightly increased that to like 160 for certain discs, I believe. Is that what it was? But in when we see it in 2021, I have to feel like we will not see that weight class restriction, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
I'm fairly certain that the weight restriction has been lifted.
The other point to that is what I love about the idea of it returning is this might breathe, I don't want to say just some fresh life into it, because just I think the time off will do that. But for someone like myself or Johnny here and you, we've been there at this amazing experience in the Nasu Highlands, and if it came back, some people that have been there in the past would be like, well, I've been there, and maybe I'll focus my energy elsewhere because I'll spend a lot of money to go to a different event and have a brand new experience. This may feel almost like a brand new experience because it's going to be in a different location, and that's something that I think will help reignite some people to possibly return. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Someone asked if Jackie comes to America, can he compete with the best over time? Yeah, the answer is absolutely true. Like, I have no doubt if he were to come over here and play. Now, I'm not picking him to win necessarily win a pro tour or a national tour right off the bat, but if he showed up to an A tier, with a solid field, I'd have no problem putting down some money on him. It'll be incredible. And also, I will add in here, Dana, the course had some length, it had some elevation, it had some technical shots. This wasn't just a one-dimensional course in any regard. So if someone's saying, well, maybe he'd have a challenge on this type of course or that style of course, again, when you're good, you're good, and I don't think he'd have a problem, putting him in, say,
Idlewild.
Idlewild. Well, no more problems than everyone else has there, at least. So, Dana, what else has been going on? I know you mentioned the upcoming winter time, but has there been anything in the past few weeks or even in the past month or so? I know it's been slow, but is there results that jump out at you? Are there team acquisitions? What's been jumping out at you as you've been disconnected from us a little bit?
I kind of mentioned it earlier, and I'll finish the thought. This last weekend, Chris Dickerson was playing another B tier in the South. Surprise, surprise. This one ran by my good friend Henry Childress over in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Ballantyne Hotel Open. And old Chris Dickerson, or whatever you call him now.
C-Dick Slayer.
C-Dick Slayer. There you go. You got me saying it. Pretty soon it's going to be trending. He popped off a little unofficial 1100 rated round one. So this is a temporary course at a golf course. I'd say this is probably got to be 5 years running that Henry's been doing this, but very strong field. And Chris just slayed it that first round. And word is that he missed a couple putts, doinking him off the band. So unofficial 1100. We'll see if it sticks. He did hold on to win the 30-person open MPO field. Barry Schultz finishing second. Brad Ramsey, another 1,000 rated player from I believe South Carolina, finishing in second. Derek Hastings right there in fourth. Nathan Queen, Big Germ, sixth. Austin Turner. So it was a star-studded field. A lot of who's who down in the Carolinas, and Chris just came down and shredded. So he followed up his 1100 rated round with a 1025 rated round. I believe I saw he started out very slowly and shaky that second round. I'm always interested to see how players follow up an incredibly high round, whether it's a course record or an 1100 rated round. I always want to see how they follow up, because if for us mortals that aren't shooting those rounds, if you've ever gotten an ace, like, what do you do on the next hole? Are you feeling giddy and shaky and, hyped up from that out? And, our elite players, it's fun to see what they do, because maybe that's kind of what they're feeling. And Chris, had a little bit of a hangover from that 1100, but popped off a 1025, 5-throw win over Barry. And on the women's side, Ellen Widboom came up from Florida and got herself a nice little victory there by more than a handful of throws. But Chris's 1100 kind of overshadowed, as I said, by Jackie Chen.
I did a little research here to sound smarter. Dana, how would it feel if you had an 1100 rated round, the ratings update comes out 2 days later, and your rating still doesn't even go up?
That's a tough one. Now, as Chris's, I don't know. I was kind of wondering about the Asia Open being included in the ratings already. It seems pretty quick, like it would have missed the deadline, but maybe since it's the off season, the deadlines are a little different. But yeah, did Chris's rating?
So Chris remained. Now it's in a way, it's a backhanded compliment. You're that good that you're, even when you shoot an 1100 rated round, you still stay at your 1041. And it looks like Chris's round is included in his rating as well. if I'm reading the PDGA website correctly. It is included, and it just happened this weekend as well, just like Jackie's round did, or rounds. And he remained at 1041, which what is that? Is that the third or fourth highest rating in the PDGA right now? So
It's up there.
Pretty incredible. But yeah, I mean, it's no Dan Hastings, right? I mean, so as you pointed out, or we pointed out together a while ago, Chris's ratio. And so for everyone playing along at home, Chris has now competed in, I'm going to do some math on the air for you. I know you guys love that. 236 events, winning 122 of them. So 51.69 victory percentage for Chris Dickerson. Not bad.
Decent at best.
Winter time's right around the corner. We touched on it, I feel like, last week. Paul McBeth making an announcement along with a number of other players who are talking about either their injuries or their shifts and their movements. But Paul talking about taking the boot off. I think that just came off recently, and now competing in the Wintertime Open, along with that other huge, very deep, talented field. Any bold predictions for this weekend?
Man, super deep field right there. But before I get into that, I want to talk about Paul playing. Kind of a surprise. You know, he had talked about having the boot and having his season be delayed. Now, an Alt-World article from February 2nd, McBeth to start and end season early. So after previously planning on starting his 2020 season in March, a new diagnosis has Paul McBeth returning to the course at the Wintertime Open. It comes with a catch, though. It means that he's going to miss end of the season events such as the USDGC. I'm kind of scratching my head here. Here's the quote from Paul. I had a follow-up appointment to find out how my recovery is going, and I think the news is positive, although it will compromise my season. I will have to end my season early to give my ankle the proper amount of time to heal. However, I was given the opportunity to start the year now and will compete until August or wait and start the season later. I want to play. So the way I read that quote is, it's got me confused. That's what it's got me.
Fair.
Basically, he could have waited to start his season later and then finished it normally by playing USDGC, Pro Tour Finals, NT Finals. But he's deciding to start it early and then end it early. What am I? I know it's Paul's life, but I mean, I feel like, what are you doing, man? USDGC, is it off your radar? You don't want to win the most USDGCs ever? You don't want to chase down Climo? What is the story here, Terry? Do you know anything? Am I misreading this? He's starting early, and with the caveat that he has to end early.
Yeah, we briefly touched on it last week, unfortunately, without a lot of brilliant insight even then. No, I don't understand it. I don't actually have any other insight, so to speak, as to his thought process, other than a speculation on my perspective, and I'm sure others have had it, is come that time in the season, he finds it tolerable or still manageable, and if he's having a good season, he then will fight through it or work his way through it and say, okay, I'm still maybe in some pain. I'm going to push it through the end of the season because I'm having a good season, or I think I could still win, even when I'm at 93% or whatever.
Gets it reassessed by a doctor, and at that point, and to see maybe it can kind of heal up. We're not extremely familiar with the medical diagnosis of his foot. I know he kind of explained it, but we don't know what all of the give and takes are. That really hasn't been divulged.
Yeah,
Once he's going to have a good season. He's, even at less than 100%, probably 75%, he's still going to compete at every event, even at the end of the year. I don't know. It seems I don't know if I just don't know enough information, but it seems like an interesting decision to not rest it up, get healed up, and be done with it. But maybe, again, I don't know all the details.
I 100% concur with you, Dana, and I just keep thinking he'll find a way later in the season to finish it out, to finish out the season and actually play it is my only guess. And dare I say, will that look more heroic? Will that be a bigger story that he's played with an injury, still has it, and if he performs well, then will we be that much more impressed? I don't know. I don't think Paul necessarily backs away from a challenge, obviously, but yeah, longevity, overall health, those are all things that the three of us combined, can't speak for on his behalf. But at face value, we said it last week, it seems like a very odd decision. I totally agree.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to hear if Paul elaborates a little bit more on it, or if we learn a little bit more about the diagnosis and whatnot. But from us on the sidelines, definitely interesting.
Are you taking him out of your Skip Ace fantasy picks, Dana? That's the real question.
I'm going to take the Yuli route and not pick him. Isn't that what Paul did a few years back? Is he refused to pick McBeth?
Yeah, well, he
didn't work out so well for him.
Yeah, he always thought, well, I'm going to give points on people, when he doesn't do well. Well, the problem was
that was the year Paul ran. He dominated very well.
Speaking of Yuli, and he's obviously talked about his injuries and his recovery and things. Have you had any conversations with any of our players? I know we just talked about Paul extensively, McBeth, but have you had any conversations with anyone else that's either sidelined or has been nursing or fixing or recovering from any injuries?
I haven't. I've been kind of keeping an eye on Yuli on social media. It seems like he's ramping up his 2-a-days at the gym and putting and getting reps in. I'm really interested to see how he bounces back. He's got a lot of miles on him, but Ulibarri is, he's one of the hardest workers and a great competitor. So it's going to be again something to watch how he comes back. Also, Eagle McMahon.
Mm-hmm. He's
kind of been in the shadows this off season. Haven't seen a whole lot of the outspoken Eagle. We've seen if you follow him on Instagram, he's posted about some of his recovery, and it seems like he's doing a lot of the things that an article just dropped, I think today or yesterday on discmania.net with Eagle. He says he's 100% healthy. He's ready to go. He is delaying his start to the season. Usually he's at the Wintertime Open in Vegas. He's going to start the season at Memorial. That's something to keep an eye on. I guess he doesn't have to worry about slamming his finger in the door at the Wintertime Open. If you guys remember that one, that's got to be 3-4 years ago.
Unless I do it to him where where we're staying and I accidentally no. I think I'm going to be sharing living quarters with Eagle again at the Memorial, where he's defending a title, I think, which is very exciting for Eagle to be defending his title here this year at the Memorial.
Yeah. So that's something else to watch. Someone else I want to keep an eye on is Seppo Paiu. Seppo was on tour last year, although we didn't quite see what I didn't quite see what I expected from Seppo. He just didn't quite put it all together last year. He's one of the best throwers in the world. It's about putting the disc in the basket for him. He's in the States now. Looks like he is playing in the Wintertime Open. So while he's not coming off an injury, he's coming off a slower 2019 than maybe expected from fans or maybe himself.
Yeah, and to follow that up, with exactly what you're saying, he intentionally withdrew himself from a number of big events, including I think the European Open, the major, because he just said he wasn't feeling it and he wasn't where his game wasn't where he wanted it to be. So, I think that speaks a lot about discipline and expectations that he, like you said, that he has on himself, and that he feels like maybe his friends and family and fans have on him. That's almost unheard of for someone that's not injured, at least in our sport, for someone that's not injured to say, I'm going to step back and I'm going to take a little time off from some of our biggest events when you're a contender. Like, not to be rude, but if you're 980 or 990 or 1,005 and the tour hasn't been going swimmingly for you, and you say, hey, I'm gonna skip out on a few big expensive events, everyone kind of understands that. But when you're at Seppo's level, to voluntarily withdraw, not due to injury, is just almost been unheard of. So it really says a lot about his discipline and his intentions.
Yeah, and let's be honest, most disc golfers, they're playing through it all. Like they're not taking weekends off. They're playing hurt. We're starting to see as the game elevates and becomes more serious and more professional, dare I say, where we're seeing the players actually listen to their bodies and or coaches or doctors and whatnot, if they do have doctors or insurance or all that. That moves us over to old Raincoat Ricky.
Yep.
Ricky Wysocki, coming off a pretty serious bout with Lyme disease. He's he went the holistic route, caught a lot of heat for it. It seems as though he's healthy now. He's got it under control. We'll see how that plays out throughout the whole season. I see where Ricky, where we have to kind of watch, is more so late in the season once summer picks up and the heat and everything and the grind of the tour, because he's been out in Arizona training and getting ready for the season. But Rick's another one coming up, not an injury but an illness, so that's something to watch. A lot of things going, a lot of injuries and health issues going on with some of these top players.
Yeah, and of course, when you're, they're a concern for everyone. But when we saw Ricky and his late season withdrawal, really from the tour and from tournaments, it was a real wake up call, I think, to a lot of people, seeing how debilitating this disease is. And we've seen people like Johnny McRae and others, and Cale LaVisca and others, that have battled it in some form or another, and how it just shuts you down in every possible way. And knock on wood, you just don't want to see something like that I think can reoccur or can flare up, so to speak, at any given time. I don't want to say unannounced, unexpectedly maybe can show back up. And if it shows up at the most inopportune time, AKA a week before Worlds or something like that, you're talking about,
it's and it's scary, just for it's such an unknown. I feel like at least for me, and it seems like an unknown disease in a lot of fronts. It can affect you in a lot of different ways, and you don't ever really know. So I hope that everything Ricky's done to get himself healthy, he continues on that and it works, and we don't have to ever mention the word Lyme disease and Ricky Wysocki again, except for him saying overcoming it and winning. But speaking of Cale and Lyme disease, old boy, he's gonna go out there, see if he's still got a little bit left in the tank.
Well, speaking of,
I think 36, maybe going to be 37 this year, somewhere in that ballpark. He's out at the Wintertime Open. We saw him take a flight. He used to avoid flying like the plague, but he's going to be at the Wintertime Open. He's going to be Vegas, Memorial. Boy, he's an athlete. He's a competitor and a fan favorite. It's going to be fun to see him out there.
I didn't want it to off as too jerkish today. I almost replied to his post saying, hey, I'm taking off. I'm going out to the wintertime. And I almost replied saying, I don't know what's more shocking, that you're going to play an extensive amount of events on tour or that you're about to get in a plane, because we don't see either from him typically.
But I will say, following him on social media, I've seen him down on the islands quite a bit, and he's not driving there. So I'm wondering if his a lot of things get attributed to, a lot of bad things tend to get attributed to girlfriends and wives in disc golf. Maybe this is a good thing. Kale has been married now 1.5 years or 2 years maybe, and maybe she's helped him get over some of his flight issues, going down to some islands, doing some swimming. Maybe we get to see one last hurrah from Kale, and I for one am really excited because I've always felt that he has been really one of those unsung top 5 players that when he shows up, you just know he's rarely going to wow you with his distance or his putting. He's just so bloody accurate and consistent. And he's going to hit the occasional big putt, but he is just fun to watch.
Yeah, he's so solid and like you said, fun to watch, and he gets it done. And I agree. When he shows up, you're just assuming he's finishing in the top 5. He could be winning the tournament. He's definitely not taking 12th. I can guarantee you that. He's going to finish probably somewhere in the top 5 at every single event he plays in. And a lot of people have, kind of said, well, we'd love to see more of him. And he has very deep Minnesota roots. He does a ton of stuff locally.
Airborne.
In terms of running tournaments and in terms of designing courses. So I understand his priorities have been more local, and, he kind of jets out for some regional stuff from time to time, and everybody clamors to see more of him. So, yeah, what great news to have him going at it hard this early season, at least.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch, and I talk to Kale relatively often, and he's really busy with his course design stuff. And then as Johnny mentioned, Airborne, they run a number of events and vend a number of events. So yeah, it'll be awesome to see Kale. He's gonna be going overseas. We're gonna see him at the European Open. He's at the Sula Open. There might be another European event mixed in there. So excited to see that. Let's hope he stays healthy all year. He's had multiple bouts with Lyme disease as well, famously during the final round of the Vibram Open. I believe it was still a Vibram Open then. He fever onslaught and all the symptoms, and still battled it down to the last hole. And then last year, I think Mad City Open, following that event, he had it flare back up and had to drop out of work. He was not on his deathbed, but he was in bed for days, just beat down from this. So let's hope it's a healthy season for Kale, and no doubt we're going to be seeing him on either Smashbox or some of the post-produced rounds out there.
Yeah, hopefully some of the live rounds, putting him on that top card. I, of course, would not be surprised. And speaking of healthy, number of compliments coming in for how healthy your beard's looking, Dana.
Thank you. I mean, I told myself, I said, once I'm back on Smashbox, I'll shave it. But, I just didn't, it wasn't coming. So it didn't have time to clean up before.
Well, you look good. I can't get much nicer than that. So I'll ask you anything you want to wrap up as we're going to head over to Zoe and uPlay disc golf here in a moment. Any parting shots, big hugs you want to give out, or thoughts to share with us before we let you go, buddy?
Yeah, we were talking about injuries earlier. I didn't bring it up. I want to give a big hug to my boy, AJ Frisbee, also known as AJ Risley. He's coming off a wrist injury. It sounds like it's been a real battle. When you're not healthy, when you're young and strong and not used to being hurt is a tough thing. And he's been going through it, and it sounds like he's going to be back on tour here at this early part of the season. So big hug to AJ. And you know what? I'm going to throw big hugs out to all our injured and sick disc golfers out there. Ricky Wysocki, Paul McBeth, Kale LaVisca.
Madison Walker.
Eagle McMahon.
No, not Madison. No, nope. we're beefing. We're beefing. You can quote me on that. No big hug.
Well, she's probably still making fun of you because you send out boxes without tape on them and think they're going to stay closed when you send people a disc.
I thought the box would have been made better than it was and self-locking and all that. The discs got there. Everyone out there, you don't even want it. It's not worth it. But yeah, yes. big hug to everybody out there that's been hurt. The season is officially here. We got an exciting wintertime open. SmashBox TV is back. It's been gone for a couple months, but it's back.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and I look forward to chatting more and either proving myself right or wrong as the weeks go along. If it was like last year when I said it's going to be super competitive every week with different winners, I'm bringing it up. I was wrong. Almost mostly dominated. On different winners.
Well, it was all that new plastic you didn't get used to.
Yeah. So, but here we are, SmashBox TV Tuesday night. I'm Dana Vichy, and I'm glad to be here. We'll see you next week.
See ya, Dana. Thanks for coming. Go shave. All right, Dana Vichy. So good to hear from him again. We'll get him back in as a regular. I'd love to see Dana and maybe one or two other people kind of regularly check in. And I know Dana has typically been with us every week during the on-season. Whether it's Dana and or another contributor or two, I think we should have some kind of rotating contributions come in. That's of course, in addition to what we've seen from Disc Golf Nerd along with Ace Run Productions. Mm-hmm. They've been submitting some video clips for us and some pieces and reviews and questions and little tips and whatnot. We appreciate those as well. We're going to love to incorporate more of those as we're moving forward here in 2020 and beyond. So thank you to anyone and everyone that's contributing. All of our Patreon subscribers out there, thank you guys. And as well as our chat board, which seems to be a little active and rambunctious tonight. Just the way I like it.
Oh, yes. I want to say something that I'm not crazy. Put that out there. If you're watching the chat, I actually have this little tool now through our program that we restreamed all these different services that lets me view all the chats at once.
Oh, wow.
So
this is crazy.
I know. If I respond to somebody and you look around and be like, who is he talking to? It's because they might be on Facebook or they might be on Twitch. Thank you, our Twitch viewer. So if you happen to notice that John looks like he's talking to himself, I might be, but I'm probably not. So there's that. The other thing, this week I did a couple of things. Well, we try to get Zoe on. I don't see her on Skype quite yet.
I'll get her.
But I took the time to set up our Twitch page. Now, we've always streamed to Twitch, but since Worlds, we've actually had a really good option. Now, you can subscribe to us on Twitch. So for those of you that don't know, if you have an Amazon Prime membership, you can give somebody a free subscription. It's like basically $3 or $4, and it doesn't cost you anything. And you just the hitch is you need to do it every month, which is part of their part of their thing. It's to keep people on Twitch. But if you happen to have that and you're not already using it for somebody, please go over to SmashBox TV, go up to the top, sign in. I think you can just go up to free sub. It might ask you to just say, hey, sign into your Amazon account to make sure you are who you are. Link the two of them. And give us your free sub, and that'll help us out. Gives us a couple bucks every month, and we really appreciate that. So that doesn't cost you a thing. All you have to do is click a few buttons. That's for anyone that has Amazon Prime. You can do that. So if you go ahead and do that, thanks a lot. In fact, for the first person that does that, we're gonna send them a disc.
Oh my gosh! But we're losing money on that, Johnny.
I don't mind. I'm gonna have Terry send you a disc.
Jeff Bezos, get on it.
So for the
you
first
already
person,
have Amazon Prime.
The first person I see, and I'll figure it out who it is, because it'll alert me. First person to sub on our Twitch page will get a free disc.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Keith Allen says I gave you a free Twitch sub. Oh, so maybe Keith might win. I'll double check. But thank you very much, Keith.
All right. Well, very cool. It sounds like we've got Zoe, and if you're ready, Zoe, go ahead and call in on the SmashBox TV Skype line.
SmashBox TV.
Yeah. Looks like she's going to be ready in just a moment. So again, thank you to Dana.
My favorite is still watching Dana in the video that he hasn't hung up on.
Oh, yeah, good call. Hope nothing weird goes on.
Kind of creeping on him.
Yeah, we're like one of those home or doorbells.
It does kind of look like
the
Ring doorbell
what he's doing at his house. Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Not at all.
All right.
Zoe's calling us right now.
Oh, well, then it sounds like we'll have her join us.
Yeah, we just need Zoe to share her video, and we can look at getting that.
Speaking of injuries, we're going to just knock on wood and hope I am, in fact, coronavirus-free. No promises. Cough, cough on Johnny. But the one thing I'll say about that is we're about to have Zoe here in a second. The one quick thing I'll say is it's funny that every time you hear someone talking about wearing a mask as the best prevention method, there's like 10 other people that want to tell you how the masks truly are ineffective, and here's 19 reasons why. Somebody get it figured out. What's going to work? Is a mask going to work or not? Because if they're not, I'm going to continue to not wear one. All right.
Hold on one second. Zoe, it looks like your audio's coming through, but we're not hearing it. And then I think it's on our side, just so you know.
Okay. Well, Johnny's going to play around with a few knobs and buttons and hopefully get it figured out. And this gives me a perfect opportunity to also thank a regular contributor in Disc Baron, who has graciously been our digital green room supporter for the last few months now, maybe even a year or so. So huge shout out to Disc Baron. I know they are running a sale on the website, so go check out Disc Baron. Purchase an item or 2 or 10 from them, and tell them the SmashBoxxTV sent you. We would greatly appreciate it.
Zoe, can you say something?
Let's see if we can hear Zoe.
Zoe, can you hear me? Okay.
But
we can't hear you.
We're
and this is definitely on me because as I told everyone, I tore down the studio. I put it back the way I thought I put it back the way I found it. But real quick, we can just show everyone that. I need to adjust this real quick as well because.
All right. All right, Zoe, hang tight. Patrick Lowry, thank you so much for the super chat. The super chat is still open and available for people to use. All you have to do is click on the little $ found on the YouTube chat board, and then punch in your phone number, and then hit enter, and that will work. I amuse myself. Punch in your phone number, hit enter, and you will be good to go. That's usually the best way to do it. And Johnny is working here on the
so that's coming into there.
Microphone and the setup for Zoe. Disc Golf Nerd says this is the best part of the show. I totally agree, Disc Golf Nerd. I said to myself a week or two ago that I really need to have a running list of random topics to talk about to myself or to you while Johnny occasionally addresses technical issues, because otherwise I just sometimes ramble. But it sounds like we hear Zoe.
Oh, yeah. That does sound like we got some Zoe Andyke audio now. It was literally just one little plug in the wrong spot. So,
all
right. So here, without any further ado, we are going to bring on, just like it's 2015, we start with Dana. We're going to end with Zoe tonight. Zoe Andyke, how are you tonight?
Yay. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
I'm great.
Hi. It looks like we also have Dustin Keegan. Johnny's going to have to hit a button to fix the names. But Zoe and Dustin, a 2-for-1 treat tonight. Guys, what is going on?
Hi, Terry. Hi, Johnny.
Hey.
Good to
Hello.
see you guys.
It's super good to be back on Smashbox. I feel like this is a really familiar place, but I haven't been here in way too long.
Yeah, well, you've been busy. You guys are doing some like real work out there and spreading the love of disc golf, introducing it to all the right people. And I'm guessing doing some fundraising and working on programming. Give us the scoop.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you for having us on tonight because we've been really, really busy over this winter and we've gone through some pretty big changes, whether it be kind of our sponsorships or really where we're putting our focus and our daily time and energy and what we're working on. And Dustin and I have we've got kind of 2 different things going on, so I'll go back and forth. I want Dustin to be able to intervene in as much of this conversation as possible because it really all starts with, my best friend here. Him and I, we've decided to just continue to take disc golf to the next level and evolve and figure out what that looks like for both of us separately and in different ways moving into 2020. And I think most of you out there probably saw my Facebook and Instagram announcement last month, where I decided to step away from being sponsored by Dynamic Discs, only for the purpose of just freeing up myself from any kind of a distraction, from doing anything other than priority one, directing and growing and working for the nonprofit Universal Play Disc Golf that we started. And it's my theory, and it's honestly my experience that drove me over the last 9 years of being on tour, or this will be my 9th year. And then just, it takes a lot, it takes maturing, I think, in a lot of times, situations like this specifically, to grow up enough to know that, I love playing disc golf, and that will never change. But I love playing disc golf so much that I want to spend my life giving that gift to everybody else. And I want to be able to do it without any limitations, and I want to invite everyone to get on board. And I think that in order for all of that to make sense, I needed to step back from being sponsored by a disc-specific manufacturer. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I definitely do want to completely just start the whole thing off with Jeremy Rusko is a cool cat. He's a good man and a great company owner. And back in October, when I first wrote him and a couple of the other staff members an email and let them know, I'm going to finish it out until December. But after December, I really want to take a step back with your guys' support. And I want to work with you guys on a level coming at you like as the director of uPlay DG. And I want to, invite you to be a part of some of our teaching opportunities, fundraising opportunities, so on and so forth. Would you please accept this invitation, and would you give me your graces in parting? And that was a lovely conversation. Jeremy's proud of me. He was very sad to see me go, but also super reassuring and supportive, and saying, if you ever want to come back, you have a spot here with the family. And so that felt good. And that he was looking forward to my first phone call with him as a director instead of a player. And so that's that speaks volumes, if you ask me. I was proud to leave that way.
Did you feel like being a sponsored player, not just from Dynamic, but from anywhere, do you feel that maybe inhibited your fundraising, or your I don't want to call it fundraising, but your chance to bring in other manufacturers?
So I only heard about half of that. Can you repeat the question? I don't know why it cut out.
Sure, no problem. I said, do you feel like being sponsored maybe inhibited your effort to bring in other sponsors to uPlay, and
somewhat limiting to you, or restricting?
Because maybe other manufacturers see, well, that's Zoe, she is a DD sponsored player, so maybe Legacy wouldn't get behind it, even though we know you you have a great relationship with Legacy as well. But I just like to use them as an example.
Yeah. And I like to think that I have a pretty good relationship with my old team manager on Innova, Jonathan Poole, and the entire Innova company and team. But yes is the ultimate answer there. It took, going back to that maturity thing I was just talking about, when my first priority was to win the World Championships and to win a national tour or a disc golf tour event, that meant that I was 100% focused on my play, and that meant I was focused on representing who I was playing for. And so all of that takes your entire energy and priority. And if I want the nonprofit to grow, I need to put all of my energy into what are the potentials to grow the nonprofit. And we are we're nowhere near the word sustainable at this point, and I knew that I needed to open up every possible door in order to be able to hopefully become sustainable someday. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally understand that, and I feel like I'll relate it to the media world a little bit, and we'll go ahead and say when we started our origins here at Smashbox, Legacy, as the example given, was so graciously 100% behind us and really helped us get off the ground. We will forever be indebted to them for that. But then we quickly learned and realized that if you are in bed with or locked in or partnered with one company at a very high or exclusive level, that's going to limit a lot of potential across the board. And in the end, live disc golf isn't quite as fruitful for everyone if we have a lot of limitations. So like yourself,
yeah,
we know exactly where you're coming from. You really want to have hopefully a good relationship and represent all of the companies that you work with, and as much as you maybe would or wouldn't like to, playing favorites is not going to help you grow nearly as much as you want. You just have a solid relationship
so
with
true.
everybody, right?
Yes, yes. And it's just really important that everybody understands that the whole reason for the move is because my priority number one really is to direct and grow the nonprofit. And if anybody needs a little bit of an explanation as to what that really means, it means I have 3 categories that all of Zoe goes into every waking moment, or every moment I'm awake, every ounce of energy I have. Teaching disc golf has always been the goal. And in order to have any kind of teaching even be an opportunity, it takes finances or fundraising, money, and it takes networking and collaborating and growing, relationships with different businesses and organizations that want to continue to support you. And that's a lot of stuff. I think usually there's a couple of full-time people for each one of those categories. And I'm definitely trying to do that mostly on my own, and with the reasonable amount of support and unbelievable amount of support that Dustin gives me. He's a volunteer still, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit about his position next. But I think it's important that everybody understands my priorities have changed, and Dustin's priorities have shifted. However, his first priority is still to be a player, to train hard, and to impress himself out on the course every single time he throws a shot. That's always going to be my goal. It's just that it's a little lower down on the priority list for me. And so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's just a shift for us. And Dustin is totally a volunteer that gives a lot.
Yeah, since I kept sponsorship and my new sponsorship, Discmania, I'm excited for it. And I didn't want to cloud anything with Zoe moving away from being sponsored by a manufacturer and having any weird lines with me being sponsored as an employee. So I am now on the board of directors as the president of the board, which is an unpaid volunteer position. But I go all in with Zoe every day, all day long. So I'm on the same mission and track to see ourselves grow to something that is bigger than we could have ever imagined, I think. And it's going there quickly.
Yeah.
Now, I have to assume, kind of with like Zoe's explanation and 2 of us that can relate in a lot of ways, you dedicating time and energy to being a top-level player that you have been for a number of years now and that you want to continue to be, and then also still finding the volunteer time to help out as the board president, that's a huge commitment on both regards. How do you balance your schedule, your daily life?
Good question. Really, so I dedicate everything right now to uPlay because that is what's facing us right now. We are running 7 fundraiser events from now, or from Super Bowl Sunday a couple weeks ago to July. So we are swamped with fundraising and networking and trying to figure out where we're going to teach and how to design the proper summer schedule for Zoe's teaching. And once we finish with the fundraising events, I'm going to focus on the latter half of the tour. Even luckily, being a West Coast person, I can play the West Coast swing and worlds really easily. So I get to tap into a little of both. It's been trying at times, but also like I'm up and going all day long, every day. We work out at 7 a.m. every day, disc golf strong, and then we work uPlay for a while. We take a lunch. I'll go play a half round putting and then on to more work. So it's just like a normal 40-hour life of grinding. Yeah.
Wait, you were supposed to get into disc golf so you didn't have to do a 40-hour day a week job.
Yeah.
And you've stepped back from disc golf so you can do a 40-hour a week job. I think you have your priorities messed up.
Yeah, they're
Dustin.
backwards, man.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to have that disc golf
tour. If there was a lot of money
life
involved, maybe it would be different. But right now we got to work for everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scraping by with a nonprofit is definitely tough. I've learned a lot from my wife, who works for a nonprofit as a site manager for like this place.
Plus,
with kids with Down
I didn't
syndrome.
go to school for business, so like I'm in a crash course schooling with Zoe every day. We're in front of corporate CEOs and people I never thought I'd sit in the same room with. So it's been a ride that I'm really excited to be on. That's for sure.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah. And
I was going to say, Dustin, with your main role, what do you see as your primary function? Like if Zoe, I don't want to say delegated, but if you guys agree that there's a task that you're going to sit down and do, next week, what are those tasks typically going to be? Like what is your main role? Are you writing grants yet? What are you doing?
We have tapped into the grant world, but it's that's somewhere that's above my pay scale. And
okay.
But really, once a month we have a board meeting, so I'm the chair of the board and have to plan that all out. And then I'm really Zoe's extra ears. She doesn't stop talking, so she doesn't have time to listen all the time. So I'm there to listen, and together it's a perfect match.
That is really that's really funny, because so many times you've come on the show, and the chat board lights up, and they're like, "Does Dustin ever talk? Like, or is he just the pretty face? Is he just the pretty face that sits by Zoe?" And no,
he does it all.
You have to tell people, like, no, Dustin talks a lot. You just have to get to know him, or you have to kind of elbow Zoe a little bit.
Just put duct tape on my mouth.
Yeah, he's the absorption board that, like you said, I do think that's a really good compliment to how you can be useful with Zoe. Zoe's got a lot of things going on in her head and is communicating in her way, and you're communicating in a different way. Maybe by being that extra, set of ears and such. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I feel like we've been able to balance it really well especially over the last 6 to 8 months, where we've really been crazy busy, and we're finding our little niches, and we're not together every second, every day. We can go out and do our own things and then collaborate and so on and so forth. So it's been good, and I think it's only going to be better from here on out.
Now, we'll sidetrack from uPlay just for a moment and ask Dustin, what is your tour schedule look like? Are we going to see you at the beginning of the season at Vegas, at Memorial, that kind of stuff?
I will not be at Vegas, unfortunately, because we have a teaching mission in Arizona that Zoe's going to talk about in a little bit. And I will be playing the Memorial. And then I am skipping Texas and the Midwest swing. And we're kind of I'm going to play the St. Patty's in Sacramento in March, and then play maybe a couple local events while we run these fundraisers. Once a month, we have a big Bring Your Own Partner doubles fundraiser. So I'm kind of the TD staff for that. So there's a lot that goes into that. And then once the West Coast swing starts, I'll be at every event. Masters Cup, SFO Worlds, Portland Open, Beaver State, and then kind of on to the East Coast.
Okay, so you're just looking to pick up the tour a little bit later. You're going to have other uPlay obligations that will will be at the forefront, and then pick up with the tour once it hits the West Coast, which makes perfect sense.
I'll be on the coastal swings.
Yeah. Okay.
Skip the Midwest.
East side, West side. You got to come up with some uPlay gang symbols for the coast you represent. I don't know.
We're just flyover country now. He's skipping us. He's going from coast to coast.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I think I'm gonna play over 20 events is the goal.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
I'll be out there, and I only at this point in my career I only prefer to play the biggest events. So I'll be at all those ones that I can be at for sure.
Okay. All right. So, Zoe, I know you've been, very involved. Well, you're obviously doing a lot of stuff, but any major developments or recent developments that are, I'll say, out of the ordinary?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
good.
there's no shortage on that list actually, but I'm going to tell you about a few of them tonight.
All right. Let's hear it.
Well, I'm kind of going out of my order of operations on my little list of notes that I made here, but
sorry.
it's okay. That's okay. I have a lot of thank yous to give out, but I can do it all throughout. So I guess in starting to seek other or new partnerships and in continuing with what has worked for uPlay Disc Golf, our Oregon State Parks partnership to run the Bring Your Own Partners doubles fundraisers that Dustin just talked about, we're entering our 4th year of running that entire series, and they let us add another event. So we have 5 total with the parks, and then 2 other events. And when you're talking about making those successful and seeking partnerships, it's really building your players packs, building your donated items, building your prizes. And as I was kind of going through the options and kind of overwhelmed with how it was, I'm going to start talking to all of the disc manufacturers at the same time. That's really overwhelming to me because I want that very first ask and that very first initial invite to just be dynamite. And I don't want there to be any room for any manufacturer to say no. And so I know if I'm on the other side of the table, I'm going to need information. I'm going to need stats. I'm going to need facts that back it up. And, I've been building those over 15 years of playing, and then certainly 2.5 years of being established as a 501c3, but maybe the stats aren't big enough. And so I guess that's the long drawn out version of saying, I think it was in December, I had reached out to Infinite Discs just to see if they would be interested in getting involved a little bit and potentially even kind of helping me theorize about how to start talking to all of the manufacturers at the same time. And that led me to a couple of really incredible conversations with the owner, Alan. He's a really good man, really obviously forward thinking and open-minded and very supportive of growing disc golf. And he seemed pretty happy to hear from me and to hear that I was interested in creating a partnership. And so what that actually, long story, semi-cut short, sort of, it turned into is that Infinite now is sponsoring our entire dub series by adding a $5 gift card to every single player pack. And we now have an Infinite decorated or designed hole per event. So we have their banners hanging up, and it's like the Infinite CTP hole where they're giving away specialized CTP prizes for that hole. And so that's pretty cool. And then they want to support the nonprofit with disc orders until we really have figured out a way to start those conversations with manufacturers. And so from discounted prices to running one of our stamps or the uPlay stamp on any disc on their website to then also turning around and asking how it is that I put food on the table, and then asking me if I was going to personally, in my time off or as a hobby, continue to play. So not only did they decide to create a partnership with the nonprofit, they asked that if I wanted to represent Infinite for my time off and playing in a disc golf event as a hobby or a weekend, they would be honored to support me in that. And
wow.
And so I feel like I can fix the screen a little bit. You might have already seen it.
Hey-o.
Look at
I've
that.
got the little Team Infinite on there because I will be playing probably 5 total events this year instead of like 25. And at those 5 big events, the only reason I'm going to be there is because it makes sense for the nonprofit to have me there, whether it's teaching and adding to the spectators side of the event, teaching and bringing community initiatives to draw people to the event or whatever it is. I've picked 5 tour events this year, and in the end of the season there could be room for like 1 or 2 extras, but I can't really think past July and August at this point. But I will be going down to the memorial, like Dustin said, and we've picked up a school there. A fan and a friend and a local teacher in the Phoenix area, Dylan, and I hope I don't murder his last name, but Dylan Von Holt. He got a hold of us and said that they would love to have some uPlay disc golf instruction, and he had noticed that we were going to be at the memorial, so like, what could we make happen? And long story short, we've grown our ambassadors, pro ambassadors team this year, and I'm going to list off those players in a moment, but I decided that we would go into Dylan's school the Tuesday before the memorial, and we would run a teaching event like we normally do. And this would be a good opportunity for me to train the ambassadors and give them a good overview of what it is we can do, and then properly equip them with more creative options of what they specifically can do without me around. So I'm kind of serving as a guiding light at this first event, and I want to educate and properly equip our ambassadors so that uPlay can actually have a presence on tour while I'm home organically growing through the fundraisers and doing some teaching right here in Oregon. And then a lot of the teaching I'm doing right here in Oregon, that's a direct result. All of it is a direct result of the fundraising that we've done up to this point. Schools, at least up to my knowledge, all over the United States at this point, really don't have a budget to pay for disc golf education, let alone any extracurricular education. PE teachers' budgets, like nationwide or something like lower than $150 a year on average. And some schools are lucky enough to have higher, and some schools have none. So all of the money that we've fundraised up to this point is going to put me in a few schools in Oregon, because we grant that service to the schools, along with all kinds of opportunities to help them and support them with continued disc golf education. And in each one of those teaching missions here in Oregon, I am certainly going to invite them to the Portland Open Disc Golf Pro Tour and see what kind of a result we can get. It's going to be tough because it's on the 4th of July. And having kids and parents remember, it's going to be halfway through the summer. So I've got some creative, sneaky, awesome ways to do that. But it's going to be really important that I'm right here at home in Oregon. I'm already working probably closer to 60% of my time up in Portland, even though I live in Eugene. So teaching in Portland is a huge, huge priority. Revisiting some of the schools there for impact reports and follow-up reports on who's really still playing. And then teaching here in Eugene. I've never even taught a school right here where I live. And I want to teach at South Eugene High School, where Dustin graduated, like first.
or so he claimed.
Yeah, that's,
Right.
if they'll let him back in there.
I got you. Can check the paperwork.
Yeah. They're like, who's this guy? Yeah, no. We don't have any record of him. That's
my board of directors, and specifically one of my very near and dear to my heart closest friends and advisors and board of directors. His name's Marshall Peter, and he's a retired older man that lives here in Eugene. And through my regular weekly coaching sessions, Marshall's helped me kind of learn the ins and outs and ideas of, you want to start networking like nationally. You need to get into talking to Rotary. You need to get into, a lot of different types of companies or organizations that can talk to each other worldwide when I go to maybe Thailand next year, or Australia or Japan, or maybe somewhere just across the country, maybe somebody from Rotary here has had an excellent overview of uPlay Disc Golf's, you know, teaching system, and then they can provide really, really, really great testimonials and support for getting into schools everywhere. And if it's not me, maybe it's one of the ambassadors that wants to get into a school and needs a reference. And so these are ways for me to organically grow kind of nationally right here locally. And I really need to be home to be able to start and to grow those relationships. And you know, it's kind of funny. I always bite off like a way bigger bite than I can chew, typically in almost any category.
And yet you stay so skinny.
What?
Yeah, but I still stay skinny.
I recall
Damn it.
I recall a plan on the first Disc Golf Pro Tour year of you and Paul and all this travel, and I remember thinking, wow, that's a big bite.
Simmer down.
Big plans.
Let's-
You guys made it work. It was all right. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. Inaugural Disc Golf Pro Tour year.
Yeah.
Harvey the RV and the
Yep.
trailer.
Making
Oh
it
my
all work.
That's
So
something we'll never forget.
Yeah,
that.
we were making legendary memories while we were living them, you know.
Yep.
That was pretty cool stuff. But that was a really good example, Johnny, of I took a pretty big bite out of something without really kind of knowing, and then you learn,
Yep.
and then you reevaluate and you recreate and go back to the drawing boards and fix it up. And so I think with uPlay, I always thought I would teach the whole world, and then I would come home and teach Eugene. But I guess I've just learned that that's backwards somehow. So I really am going to try to stay home and be home teaching more, and obviously doing the fundraising and the networking. But that just, you don't ever want to take disc golf away from the girl, me, you know, like this, it all started from my love of disc golf. And so if I was to quit playing, that I just don't think that would sit very well with me, my energy and my excitement. You have to continue to feed the passion, you know. And I already kind of accidentally 6 weeks will go by and I haven't even touched a disc, but I make sure Dustin's going out and practicing, you know, after lunch or whatever. And when that time slips by, I notice my happiness levels, you know, aren't quite as high as usual. And so I've really realized that I've got to sprinkle in some playing disc golf for my own happiness and my own exercise. And so again, I'm going to go down and do this huge mission for uPlay at the memorial. And then on my weekend, I'm going to play the actual memorial.
Nice.
So that's going to be exciting. But then you won't see me at a big event until the Masters Cup. And the reason that one gets such priority for me derives from a partnership and a relationship that I have with Tom Schott. He's invited me to do the Meet the Pros again this year. And oh my gosh, the list of pros is just incredible. I can't reveal any details there, or else Tom just, you know, he wouldn't be happy with me. But so I'll be going down and doing the Meet the Pros again this year. And that's something I hope to do every year as long as I can. I like preserving the idea of some of the history, the historic course, Tom Schott himself, and then the pros that are the top level competitors at the time. I think that this is something that should remain timeless in disc golf. This is a special event, and we've seen some other areas kind of try to mimic and copy it, and that's just a good thing to do. Know your pros, know what's going on, have fun with it, play for money. That's what the pros are doing.
Yeah. Well, it's become such, like you said, such a tradition and such a fun gathering and opportunity for not just the players, but also the fans and vice versa. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And so then right after that is actually going to be what I think is my biggest show of the year. For most touring pros, the biggest show of the year is the World Championships. And that used to be certainly mine too. But this year, with my priorities being so different, I've engaged into or hooked up with a relationship with this really awesome nonprofit in Oregon called the Portland Rose Festival.
Yep.
And they've been established for like 117 years, and they are like the experts in throwing a huge party, like big enough for the entire city, Portland metro area to enjoy for like 3 weeks at a time. And so once I got them to be interested in disc golf, we basically have nailed it down to the kickoff weekend for the Portland Rose Festival is Memorial Day weekend. May 25th is that Monday, and they are going to allow us to co-host a disc golf event down in Waterfront Park in downtown Portland. And that's my world title this year. If I put on a great show, I believe that I will be doing this every year, and I'll be doing it better and better. And I also believe that it's going to be my largest impact or effect that I could produce on an annual basis to grow disc golf outside of the world of disc golf. Even bigger of an impact than any of the teaching I'm doing in schools. There's reports of up to 2 billion people are somehow reached or networked through or connected with the Portland Rose Festival throughout those 3 weeks. And I certainly don't think I'm going to be teaching 2 billion people how to play disc golf in one day. That'd be crazy. But I do believe that the sport itself will be in ears and in front of eyes that it never has been. And that the media and the attention and the awareness that disc golf is even an option. This is my biggest stage to give the gift of disc golf, not only to the public, but to well-established corporations and organizations and businesses that are worldwide, not just local to Portland. So that's a really exciting thing that I'm putting a lot of Zoe into, and really want to knock that out. So more to come on the Portland Rose Festival event. The name of it is called Throw in the Bowl, BOWL, and it's because the land formation that we're playing in is kind of a bowl-shaped grass formation.
It's funny because we have something similar to that here in Wisconsin. There's a course in Sheboygan that everyone calls the Bowl. It's this giant bowl shaped where they tend to do a lot of ceremonies for high school and things like that. So, and that's great. I mean, as everybody always says, what is it? Act local, think global. Start where you're at. So,
well, and I want to just I just want to attribute or add in the fact that last year in going to the Portland Open, which of course you guys had a huge part of and were organizing and running and on that team, going to that festival and seeing just how big it is, and for anyone that's, we'll say, regional to Wisconsin area, think Summerfest in that sense in terms of the depth of it, and it has so many vendors, entertainers, stages, shopping, food. It's got everything, including a big main stage where some of our disc golfers were on just last year, and then a fireworks festival and all those things. So I got to experience that firsthand. So it kind of gives me goosebumps just thinking about the reach that you're talking about, Zoe, knowing how big this three week long celebration and festival really is, and the overall impact that it can have. A year ago, I would have thought, okay, cool, but now I know just how big that festival is. So a huge congratulations to you. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad you went down to that, Terry.
Yeah.
Nate Doss, Val Jenkins, I think Ricky Wysocki was down there on stage.
Yep.
Dustin and myself were there at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we were directing the tournament. So it was a real shift in balance. And we didn't know what to do with our partnership at that time with the Rose Festival. We were almost afraid that we kind of flopped on producing for them, and they felt the same way for us. And really, once the PDGA established the schedule this year, and we actually had to be the bearers of bad news that the Portland Open had moved to 4th of July instead of Memorial Day, man, they were heartbroken. They wanted to really do something with disc golf. And that's when I said, well, wait.
Yeah.
I happen to know of this nonprofit that can definitely run you an event. And what we're doing is we're providing this filler event, but it evolved. We started meeting with them monthly, and now I go up there weekly. And in March, I'll be up there 3 to 4 days a week, every week. So I even have my own office cubicle in their building now. But it really evolved into an idea that we had to create with their team that could be scalable disc golf for anybody, the general public that's never touched a disc, to be able to play kind of a miniature course in the Waterfront Park Bowl. And our goal is to continue to grow the awareness so that when the Portland Open might, or hopefully will come back to Memorial Day, what a huge success. We'll be running this 1-day community event, but we will be feeding all of these aware and knowledgeable new disc golfers to go to the Portland Open when it comes back. So it's a continuation of building the awareness and the support for Portland Open, built out to a multiple year factor as long as the Portland Open runs, you know. And on that note, we might be crazy to continue to be like the main tournament directors, but we've decided to kind of step back just a little bit, stay on the tournament directing staff. But and you know, Jeff Spring will be doing the majority of the workload kind of leading up to, but day of and event, when event time comes around, we still have our strong team of Nate, Val, Zoe, Dustin, Jeff, and then potentially whomever, you know, we figure out this year local to Portland that may want to come in or be involved at a bigger level. But the 5 people I just mentioned, we have quite a bit of disc golf tournament directing experience, which makes it like a self-ran operation. You know, it makes it able for Dustin and I to actually play the event. We played last year. We get to play again this year. And with all of the meetings and the networking we're doing with the local club, Stumptown, you know, Jeff Haggerty, Jeff Middle, all of the Beaver State Fling staff, and then all of the local clubs to Oregon, we're really building a lot of volunteer awareness for Portland Open. We're continuing to make sure work parties are put together. You know, we're very much a big piece of Portland Open and always plan to be, hoping to make that one of the most exciting events on the tour. So that's a big thing we're still going to play and do.
No, that's of course a tall task, but like you said, when you surround yourself with the right supporting cast or your entire crew, any one individual is strong enough probably on their own, but then you have 4 or 5 of you, and it's a pretty solid unified front for sure. So should be no concerns or worry on that end whatsoever. And it's great you guys will be able to play, you know, when this stuff shows up in your backyard, so to speak, relative backyard.
Yeah, well, and with my limited events, I did choose to play Worlds, and we actually will have a uPlay disc golf kind of booth or station at Worlds, which is special. We've never really had that before until this year with the Disc Golf Pro Tour events and Worlds. And then I want to play BSF.
Yep.
Naturally.
Of course.
And then that pretty much takes care of it for me. And then I have hopes of being a part of the GMC in Maple Hill, because I can make sense out of a couple of things that are going to happen on the, I guess, the backside of that. Yeah. Baxter Brewing Company is this really amazing brewery out in Maine that I personally have not yet ever been to. But I bring this up because through Nate and Val connecting them, they have been donors and supporters of the nonprofit since before we even had our 501c3. And they run this Brewers Invitational, bring your own partner, Brewers Invitational every year that they fundraise and send us a check for to teach disc golf, you know, or do whatever we can do with. And this year we have decided to come out and participate and do some teaching events around their Brewers Invitational. And that's the weekend after GMC.
Yeah, September 13th.
Yeah. And so we sadly are going to miss one of our favorites, Canadian Nationals. And we've put a lot of work up in the Maritimes, but you know, each year just brings a new adventure, and we're gonna go and support and grow, be a part of the growth of disc golf in the places that have supported us. And that's what will bring me out to those East Coast events is because I can network and be a piece of the events, and then be there for the Baxter Brewing event and actually do some teaching for their local schools. So that's
a full year.
that's my schedule in total, maxed out with a bunch of fundraising and hopefully a kick butt Portland Rose Festival Memorial Day.
Real quick, let me just ask on that. As you're talking about the festival, does it kick off on Memorial Day and then carry on for the multiple weeks, or what are the timelines for someone that's maybe in the area or thinking of visiting? Tie the dates together on that for us. I mean, I know you said Memorial Day, but
thanks for bringing that up, because a lot of you that want to see or travel to the Oregon events will potentially get to enjoy some of this. So Memorial Day weekend, Friday is the 22nd and Saturday the 23rd. Yeah. So that's the kickoff weekend. And then it's 3 weeks after that the entire city fair and waterfront park is set up.
Okay.
And you can get on the Portland Rose Festival website, and they're continuing to build their calendar and their schedule of events as they gain sponsorships and have other partnerships that are hosting events. But you literally can do something really cool or unique or fun almost every day in 3 weeks, or you can feel really good about participating in something because of what you just fundraised for. It's one of the coolest operations. Now that I'm this deep into understanding it, it really is, for the entire economy of the metro area. It's healthy. It's for the well-being, and it certainly brings in money, finances too. So
our little event will be on, well, not little, our big event will be on the Monday, the 25th. And our times for the courses are from 1 to 4 p.m. And we're having a big after party at like 5 p.m. So it's like a late afternoon, closing the day down at City Fair, downtown Portland, on the 25th, Monday.
So actual Memorial Day.
So Memorial Day.
Yeah. Yes.
The
perfect. Actual Memorial Day kickoff weekend. Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's good to know for someone that's going to be in the area or is thinking about traveling to the area. Just such a unique experience to participate in that. You think about, well, PDGA tournaments and some of these other big tournaments, and they're all great, of course, but this is something that's going to be unique and have such a great personal tie with you guys and with uPlay. So definitely check it out if you can.
Yeah, follow the Rose Festival handles, follow the uPlay DG handles, and all the details will be coming up soon.
And those handles, I should definitely be saying those. Instagram and Facebook are, they match. They're the same. It's the letter U, uPlay Disc Golf, at uPlay Disc Golf. So I always tell people, if you're interested in a smile a day or like a really happy thought a day, I would follow both of those sites. I think a lot of things on social media, I know at least for me personally, I find it kind of hard to be on there because it's not always the most happy, but that's a 200% guarantee that if you guys follow uPlay Disc Golf, there's some really happy, warm, fuzzy stuff on there.
Yeah. You get some tips. You get to watch all our cool stuff that we do on a daily basis, and yeah.
I mean, what's if you really think about it, like, what is the deep, dark hole in your heart if you don't love thinking about playing, talking about fundraising, supporting disc golf? Like, okay, then you clearly have some problem buried deep inside your heart. So I agree with you. Go out and follow the stuff that's going to give you that warm and fuzzy and benefit the entire disc golf community. I totally agree on that end. So we've got your schedules. Clearly they're both jam-packed, and I'm sure other opportunities are going to come along, and you're going to slide yourself into those because you have to. From both a playing and a business perspective, partnerships and growth. How does that continue to go and look for you? As in, how can someone support you? Is there other organizations that you're waiting to hear from? Like, where are you in that? I'll just say the financial growth perspective, and how can people most help you out?
Well, thank you. That's important because that is certainly the hardest piece of all of this. So we'll start with partnerships and inside of the world of disc golf. The Disc Golf Pro Tour obviously has undergone a lot of changes and a lot of new hiring and a lot of new initiatives. And underneath that umbrella, they do have a per event educational piece that they want to add. And so, of course, we're going to start that with the memorial, with what I just told you about at the Arizona school. And then I know that they've been talking a little bit with kids disc golf, like in previous years, and with the Edge program. And that to me is really cool, because that regionally those two organizations will be able to get involved or do some sort of a teaching initiative or community-based teaching initiative at events that are a little bit closer to where they're located. So it's not like all for uPlay because I started. It's like we kind of get to share the love. And underneath that, you know, I'm starting to explore ways to work with, collectively work with kids disc golf and Edge. And I know a lot of people out there are like, whoa,
That's crazy. Aren't you
this
competing?
can't happen.
No,
You guys are
that's silly.
But really,
arch enemies.
it can.
Yes.
And we currently right now are trying to nail out just what that looks like for 2020 on an event by event basis. And I got to give major props and a huge shout out to my friend and my hero, one of my heroes, Jay Redding, and of course Des Redding. I get to, as an executive or as a director of a nonprofit, I get to speak with Jay as a director of his area, you know, Edge, his nonprofit, and it's really cool because I have the utmost respect for him. I want to be able to say that I've taught just like him and Des, and now we're trying to figure out how we can collaborate and really take over and spread the teaching even faster. So to me, that's nothing but positive in the partnership growth inside of the world of disc golf. And then, and like I said, event by event, we're going to learn more and more. So more to that partnership, I would think would be released to the public as we come up with it. So please, everybody, you really should be following Edge and be following uPlay Disc Golf for the kinds of announcements that will come out and the ways to support. But I know for us right now, we've always got our online support. We have a donate button. It's a nonprofit certified PayPal or whatever, you know, it's the uPlay DG PayPal that the donate button goes to. And so that's just your all the time way to do anything. Through Infinite Discs, you'll be able to help soon, upcoming in the next couple of weeks. You'll be able to buy a uPlay stamped logo disc, and that'll certainly help. And then if you're in Oregon or planning to travel to Oregon, get on and check out our Bring Your Own Partners doubles events. Of course, you can play, but really just being involved, being aware, and being able, if you have the means or know somebody with the means or extra means that really want to go towards health and wellness, benefiting people and communities by giving them disc golf, you should donate to our website, because every dollar is going towards not just teaching in schools, even though that's the bulk of it, but doing these community awareness events, and then also propelling us to go into these larger corporations and businesses and gift them the idea of disc golf to get them hooked. You know, like there's a lot that goes into that work too that's unpaid, just kind of hoping for an avenue. And so those are those big partnerships that hopefully will come out of the Portland Rose Festival and all the networking that'll be done there. And that's outside of the world of disc golf. Wait, which one are you?
Smile.
Another thing, and I think you guys were talking about this right before I got on, but I couldn't hear much about the Smile Amazon. Did you talk about that?
No, actually, which is funny because I just messaged Terry saying, because I was chatting, I'm like, did she mention the Amazon Smile yet? We were mentioning something different. Amazon Smile, as I'm sure you're about to explain, is basically you sign up and anything you buy from Amazon online, a small portion of it will go to a specific charity. And I was going to ask if uPlay is on there. We were talking about Twitch Prime, which is, the whole gaming thing, which is separate than that. But Amazon, do you want to talk about Amazon Smile, please?
Yeah, real quick. And you can also, if you don't remember the steps, you can get on uplaydiscgolf.org, and I have a little YouTube really user-friendly video on how to do this. So if you forget, just go on. But basically, if you shop on Amazon and you type the word smile.amazon.com instead of just your regular sign-in, amazon.com, put the word smile and a period in front of it. It becomes your all of the time sign in. You can't just do it once. You have to always sign in, smile.amazon.com. You then get to pick a 501c3 charity. Universal Play Disc Golf, Eugene, Oregon is listed in there. And it's 0.5% of your entire order each time you sign in through smile.amazon.com. Amazon donates 0.5% of your entire order. So it doesn't tack on anything or change your order whatsoever. It's just this multiple billion-dollar company actually has to make a donation to a charity. And so it's a good thing for everyone out there to pick a charity and get into. And I really would love it if you want to see disc golf education grow to pick uPlay Disc Golf. But you guys, this is just free money out there that Amazon, they're committed to paying and getting out there to charities. So make sure you start signing in with smile.amazon.com and pick Universal Play Disc Golf as your charity. I know when Nate and Val were building their brewery, they had changed their charity, and then my roommate, she bought like this really amazing like Mercedes super van, and she was building it out and ordering all kinds of parts. And it shows you this little bank on Amazon.com of how many dollars and cents you've accumulated. And on a $500 order, getting $5 doesn't seem like a lot, but every tiny little bit adds up, and it's really, really cool. I mean, if you're shopping every day or if you're the shopper once a month, a couple of dollars or a couple of cents really does help. So definitely get on Amazon, Smile Amazon. It's everyone calls it Amazon Smile, but it's smile.amazon.com.
Yep. The only annoying thing is there's no app for Smile, so you have to log into your browser.
Thank you for saying that.
You can't do it through the Amazon app.
Which, I'm sorry, it's like an extra lift of the finger,
Yep.
A little more effort.
Just create a bookmark, everybody. I know everyone loves to just type in Amazon.com when you look for things, but just add that smile in front of it, and it will do wonders for whomever you decide your charity is.
And
but
then
obviously we support uPlay.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're
I
fine.
don't know why, Johnny, but on your microphone once in a while it'll cut out. So I don't know.
I have that built in. Don't tell anyone.
Son of a...
Oh, never mind. Everything's clear.
Yeah, crystal clear. Just keep talking, Johnny.
But sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. You're good.
I'm really working on pausing and taking a breath and my listening skills. There's one more thing I really want to cover, Terry, and it directly it's kind of a fun challenge almost to the public and kind of a fun thing that I'm certainly just getting started with for Zoe personally, not in the work world, but personal fun world of playing disc golf. For the first time in 8 years, I'm allowed to throw any disc I want. And so with that, of course, a couple of staples are going to stay in my bag. I won the 2018 World Putting Championships with like the dagger. So kind of seems like a no-brainer that I would not switch putters. So I'll probably keep that in there. But really, any other disc, I want to build my friends bag. And what do I mean by friends bag is I want to win with my friends. I want to represent my friends. I want to throw a disc with a stamp, whether it's my friend's face, their stamp logo, their tour fundraiser logo. I kind of want to start this whole awareness that if I'm putting Paige Pierce's Fierce, I mean, it probably would be a throwing putter, like, because I just said I like daggers. But maybe I'll throw her Buzz or her, any of her other signature discs. Dustin might find that he likes one or two of the specific Discmania molds, and when he gets his stamp, of course I'm going to put one of Dustin's stamps in there. I have a Terry Miller dagger, actually. I have a Tear Bear dagger, so that's
nice.
pretty cool. So you're in the friends bag already. But I guess I just want to let the public know that if there's a pro with a really unique or a really, really dope stamp on a really good mold, just PM me or let me know somehow online that you'd like to see me try the MVP fill in the mold or Gateway or you name it. I mean, I've got a lot of experience with Legacy, Innova, and all of the trilogy, but there's a lot of other companies and a lot of really cool touring pros that I would love to have their face or their logo in my bag. And I think the whole thing here is that between the Memorial and Worlds, my goal is to build my bag with all my friends, and I'm going to win the world championships with my friends.
I like it. Wouldn't you feel bad, though? You're like, hey, guys, thanks for all the sweet discs. I just kicked your ass with them. Thanks for helping out. I don't know. I would think you'd feel bad. Like, have you seen this disc? Yeah, you're getting mine next year with my face on it, so thanks. I don't know. I do like the idea, and what a great way to support our fellow pros and your fellow friends out there on the tour. And tour stamp discs have become a very popular mechanism to support a manufacturer, but more so usually the player themselves. And I echo that. When I went to the GBO last year, every single person that had their own stamp disc that I saw out vending, I bought one from. And the last thing I need are discs. But I walked home with like 28 discs because I wanted to buy one from every single person that had a specific tour stamp disc that I could find. And it's just that. It's just a show of appreciation because I do appreciate the grind that our players put forth.
Well, and we've got Simon Lizotte out on the board basically saying Sky God. With this hand raised, so
yeah, I mean,
first new mold and a great segue there. The only other piece I hadn't talked about were my new ambassadors, but the Sky God. All right, I got some work to do.
Yeah,
I'm so excited because that's like the player inside of me, man. The growth is huge. I'm never gonna plateau in disc golf again when all I have is nothing but options to try and new discs to impress myself with. This is literally infinite options. I know it's kind of funny.
Hey, I see what you did there. Simon actually did. I think he has a guarantee on his Sky Gods. He says if you're not throwing that 400 feet, he'll give you your money back. So,
oh, sweet.
I mean, it's a personal endorsement by Simon, thrown by Simon, represented by Simon, 400 feet. So, I'd pick one up today. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good.
Right, Simon?
While we have Simon on our front of our minds, he's one of the most exciting new ambassadors for uPlay DG. Up to this point, we've only ever had 2 pro ambassadors besides myself and Dustin. And lead female ambassador has been Paige Pierce. And she's been an excellent donor, an excellent networker and ambassador. And she's going to continue to lead the females as the ambassadors, kind of team captain for the females. And then Dustin, now moving into a board position and much more of a volunteer position, he's going to take over that leading the men's ambassadors, where Nate Doss has actually been the only male ambassador up to this point. So I realized I needed to grow my squad, especially because Nate and Val are pretty busy. They're pretty tied up in Bend. And I needed a male and a female to be out there with the touring pros. So this year, everybody on this list is helping me teach in Arizona at this point. And so Madison Walker has shown an incredible amount of support and effort and can't wait to do more for uPlay DG. I love you, Madison. I hope you're hope you're out there listening, and I hope something really great just happened to you today, because we're really happy to have you as part of the team. Jessica Weiss looks like she might be kind of considering joining, because Garrett Girthy just officially joined, and both of them will be in Arizona. Jordan Castro, so pumped to have Jordan on the team. He's been a prior teammate and a longtime friend, and he's one of the most motivating people in disc golf for multiple reasons. So stoked about Jordan. Simon Lazat, and he actually is he's the newest ambassador that's already running his own charity event for us, and I can't wait to hear more about it when I see him in Arizona. But he's like, "Is this okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is amazing. You're setting the bar here, you know." Then we have Dustin, and Nate Perkins is going to be there and is excited to do some ambassador work and work a lot more closely with Dustin and probably Simon at the doing the Discmania uPlay thing. And then Chris Clemens has not officially joined as an ambassador, but he is going to join us in the teaching mission. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to getting to know Chris better, more on a personal level and on an educational level, being able to share and train and give him some of my teaching mechanisms. I also have to put a little announcement or a thank you to Alyssa Van Lannen out there. She's also not an officially joined ambassador, although I think she's close in the runnings of saying yes. I haven't even officially had a chance to have like that real conversation with her, because she went to Croatia for a month, and then there was like this Christmas holiday, and then she went to Thailand for a month. But Alyssa has supported us in a lot of ways with her media skills and media talents. Plus, really, I think Alyssa has supported me in her ideas and in her creativity. Alyssa comes with a much different outlook and standpoint than all of the touring disc golfers. So I really appreciate the work that she does. I appreciate her creative brain and her trade. And she's always done a lot of really nice things for the nonprofit, and I guarantee she's probably going to be more involved in the future. So thank you to our new ambassadors. Thank you to all the people that have listened to me talk over all the years and that are with us on this mission. And Terry and Johnny, thanks for giving us a lot of time tonight. I think we've already eaten up about an hour, but all of this is really important. It's always really complex when I come on. I know that I can't just do one thing. I try hard, but I know I come with a lot, and I need to thank you guys and everybody out there for believing in me, because I'm just never going to stop crushing. I'm never ever going to stop spreading the love of disc golf, and being thankful to be in this position to do it.
Well, if you would just bring a positive spirit once in a while, then we think we
Stop
just
bringing the show down.
Yeah, we can't say it enough that of course we do everything we can to help support your mission, and the people that you just mentioned and people in the past that have help get you to where you are, where you both are. All of those supporters are also near and dear to us in so many ways, and we believe in your mission and your goals and your outlook. And of course, that's why we want to do whatever we can, whether it's helping with a platform or spreading the love as best as we can and carrying on your messages. We're more than happy to do so anytime we can.
It was like 4 years ago, Terry came to me and we were like, hey, he's like, I met this Zoe girl, and I think she can talk. Let's bring her on the podcast. Little did we know.
Yeah. And you continue to blossom in so many different ways. And it's all going to benefit disc golf of the future, and that excites the heck out of us, and it should excite everyone that's watching, knowing that you've been planting the seeds and getting them ready, and now they're going to continue to sprout and grow, and it's because of all the effort and the energy that you guys have collectively put in, and the hard work and the dedication. and it's clearly it's nothing but infectious, and that's why so many people want to rally around and jump into your tribe and to help support your mission, because it's an obvious and an easy one to do so when you guys are leading the way, and we're just glad to have our little part in helping push it forward.
Well, thank you so much. And Terry and Johnny, I think that this will be a really important year for me to reach out. Maybe it'll be on a monthly or a bi-monthly basis, but I think it'll be good to do some reporting on the teaching and certainly on the connections and the progress with the Portland Rose Festival event. So stay tuned into Smashbox to keep up with uPlay too, everybody.
Absolutely, and we've said it before that we understand that with time zones and timelines, it can be difficult for anyone to give us particular updates, or when the champ Ken Climo has poker every Tuesday night, whatever it is. If people have great updates or information for us, we can always take that 1 to 3 minute video that gives the update. And so and that's kind of a call out to anyone that's got the really solid update about something positive we should help promote. And we say it to you guys, and we say it to a lot of people. If that timeline works better, we're more than happy to put it out there for people to view it, because other things may not fit your timeline.
We have a few problems in that if someone sends us a message and says, hey, I'd love you to talk about this, 9 times out of 10, it's not 1 to 3 minutes. Terry and I will talk about it for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's a problem with us as well. So if you have something succinct you want to send us, people, sometimes it's best coming from your own lips rather than us. Then we can't screw it up, which we've never done before.
Yeah, no, we never screw up.
Never.
Always on point. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you for the updates. Thank you for the positivity. Thank you for the hard work that you guys continue to pour your heart and souls into this, and you and, like I said, the rest of your tribe. We know that everybody has been working on this in various degrees, but without the leadership that you're providing, Zoe, things wouldn't be as precise and on point as they are, and obviously things are heading in the right direction. And again, just keep us posted, and if there's anything we can do to help push things forward, we'll do the best we can on our end.
Oh, thank you so much. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good luck, and good luck this year, Dustin.
Phoenix.
Yeah, we'll see you in Phoenix.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Good luck.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. All right, smile.amazon.com. Log in there.
I have to remember that because I log into Amazon a lot, and we do a lot of ordering, and I always forget to do it. And I just, every time I log in, I see, oh, you're, for my particular account, it is not you. It's not uPlay. It is my wife's organization. So I never, ever think about doing it. My wife does it a lot. I rarely do it. I need to get better about doing it for everybody, just like everybody else out there does. Smile.amazon.com.
Well, and as she said, I think the biggest takeaway from that particular program is the fact that it is absolutely free money that can go to the organization that will not cost you a penny more. And I'm a big fan of even setups, whether it's your local grocery store or wherever, or a Firehouse Subs comes to mind, where they ask you if you want to just round up. I'm a big fan of that concept too. When your order comes to $12.18, and the 82 cents could then go to an organization if you just round up. But here, you don't even have to round up. Just they automatically give them a cut of whatever the order is. So go out there, order the things you need in life, and maybe a few of the wants, and then let the money benefit someone like uPlay Disc Golf. And it's such free money. That's the best part.
Exactly. The same thing we were saying about Twitch. Like, they just literally want you to support them, and they will go ahead and support other companies. So please go ahead and use that. Go subscribe to us on Twitch, and then on top of that, use smile.amazon.com so that all the disc golfers that you enjoy can benefit from this money that's just available, that's going, I hate to say it's going to waste because I'm sure Amazon's taking it, but
yeah.
it could be coming into our community.
Yeah, I mean, slow down Jeff Bezos' next mansion purchase by.
I know he's not purchasing mansions. He's purchasing rockets.
Oh, okay.
Literally, he's buying rockets.
Well,
He owns Blue Origin.
yeah. Slow it down. Slow down his rocket stuff so we can get disc golf to take off like a rocket ship instead.
And definitely shop at Amazon because I have a few stocks from there. So it would help me
ooh,
out.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll help increase my stock price.
Yeah. All right, Johnny. I think we have. Do we have enough content here to wrap up the regular show before we get into the after shows? Or anything else we need to touch on before we move in? Are we going to have a feature from Ace Run Productions tonight?
Not tonight. I didn't see one. So if they sent
I thought
one,
they said they put one in the shared folder tonight.
oh well, they're gonna have to notify me. I think they're gone right
he
now.
did.
He could have if it's on the board. He's gonna have to send an email when he does that. So because I'm not always watching the board. But we'll take a look at that, and we might have that next week.
All right. Well, I think we're going to be able to close things out, like we said. Great set of updates all around tonight. Not only hearing from Dynamite and his take on a few of the things that we've been missing out on having him for the last few weeks, but also then checking in with Dustin and Zoe. Clearly, plenty of work on their plate, and what's amazing about their work is that it also will be growing disc golf, which in turn will help everyone, whether it's your kid or your cousin's kid who lives in a certain area that now is getting introduced to disc golf in a Phi-Ed class or some kind of program, all thanks to the work and effort by people like Zoe and Dustin and uPlay or Edge or whatever. We all know it's a good thing to be seeing the disc golf growth that's happening. So we'll close out Smashbox TV podcast number 284. Again, a final thanks, Dustin, Zoe, along with Dynamite. Stick around. We're going to have an after show, talk about some random things that may or may not be disc golf related. Get caught up on life and beyond, everything else exciting going on out there in the disc golf family and other places. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, we'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 284 After Show. Oh. It's been a couple weeks since I've been part of an after show, I think. Yeah, so it's like it didn't even happen.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, there hasn't been a lot of after show action in general because there's been a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily say there's been a lot.
Wow. Okay. So, is the after show an after show topic?
Anything is an after show topic, Terry. This is what we do.
This is what we do. So it has been a little while. So a quick refresher. If feel like it's good to make sure everyone knows. The after show comes in typically after our regular podcast, which you may or may not have just consumed in some form, whether it was on Facebook, YouTube, or on a podcasting app. And here we will talk about anything and everything that may or may not be related to disc golf. We still generally stay away from politics. I think as politics and religion are generally two subjects that we don't bother dipping into, although we could.
Some straight facts. Tonight was the New Hampshire primary.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders won with Pete Buttigieg second, followed up by Amy Klobuchar. That's it.
Okay, that sounds like a solid fact. I also saw on the Twitters the current president of the United States claiming that he thinks it's noteworthy that he got more votes at said how did he word it? Something about he did better in some preliminary rounds years ago than anyone else of any other time. So he's just stating some facts as well, and that's what we all do here. So glad you guys could join us. As you just mentioned, the last few weeks, I, of course, have been traveling to Thailand and Taiwan, doing remote. The last two shows, were remote from Thailand specifically.
Yeah, that first one wasn't so hot.
And I heard there were a few struggles. Thanks to Nigel Mills, though, we were able to get hardwired for the next podcast, which was, I think, 283. Seemed to work out a little better.
It did.
And I believe that was also the podcast last week where in the background, and which may or may not ever happen again, a monkey was climbing a palm tree, throwing coconuts down to kind of set the stage with what was going on behind me. And that is apparently a very common practice for how to retrieve coconuts when they're ripe and ready to go. Usually a caretaker or a man will send up a monkey. They actually communicate. The man or the caretaker will make some noises toward a monkey saying, no, not that one, go after a different one. So he's actually giving an instruction sometimes for which coconut to then pull off the tree and then throw to the ground. I would love to put you on a leash, send you up a tree.
There's no way I'm getting up that tree. Let's be honest.
Even in a bucket truck. Up there.
I could get up in a bucket truck.
And then I would just make little weird noises with my mouth, commands to instruct which coconut.
You
oh
want
my
me
gosh,
to...
I think people would love to see that in an after show.
I'm sure they would. I'm certain they would.
Also, in the after show, we get a little bit more interactive with you on the YouTube chat. Johnny now has the capability of pulling a few other chat mechanisms.
Yeah, I do.
The YouTube chat is the one that's easiest for us to observe and to follow along with. So if you have questions, if you have comments, or amazing facts, per se, send them our way and via the YouTube chat, and most likely we'll be able to interact with you directly there. I'll read one of them that comes in. Nick asks, Terry, what food and or drink do you miss most from Thailand? And that is for me, that's a no-brainer. You want to take a guess, Johnny? I'll let you take a guess. What food or drink do I miss the most from Thailand?
You're not much of a drinker, in general. So
it's funny when people notice that when I travel, but go on.
Yeah,
yep.
I've known you for a long time. So the food, the funny thing is I would not call you an adventurous food eater either.
Nope.
So I think that there's probably something like a burger that you really love there for some reason, whether it's just a jalapeno burger or something along those lines. You do like your spicy.
I would go as far as saying, I would go ahead and say the banana shakes.
Oh.
Shakes, very popular there. Of course, countless flavors of shakes that can be offered. I make
banana shakes upstairs for my wife.
Banana shake, of course, the best one came from Samui Disc Golf over at Nigel's place, but every other place that offered them were also very good. So the banana shakes are what I would say I definitely miss the most from there. I don't know if I had any more than 2 in a day, but yeah, when they were absolutely delicious. So that's what I would say I miss the most. Mr. Garcia asks, have we already talked Jackie Chen? Yes, we have. I would like to follow that up. How this all ties together. Low-hanging fruit. All right, the Jackie Chen, Chan memes and references.
They're expected. Everybody's going to do it.
I know, but when you
so
see the
little-
10th one, don't
I
you think,
know-
how is my 11th one or my 1100th Jackie Chan meme post still going to be funny? I'm going to give you the
depends.
bad news and tell you it's probably not.
It's probably not, but it depends on what it is. I've seen so many of them with the Jackie Chan with just his face with the arms that do this.
Yeah.
And I think I saw one other one. But
Just
I-
either post that or take a dead horse that's getting beat and then put that meme up, because that's exactly what you're doing.
I know. I agree.
By the second one, I was like, yeah, you're right. Expected. Okay.
Yeah.
Not really funny. The 10th one, definitely not. The 150th one I've seen.
It's hot news right now.
Someone said the word lazy.
Oh yeah,
I'll
of
go with
course,
that.
of
I like
course.
that. That's a good word. And if I'm offending you because you've posted it multiple places, I'm sorry, not sorry. Lazy. Lazy's a good descriptor. Lazy.
Has there been like a Jackie Chen with Philo and a split screen with Jackie Chan and Chris Rock?
I have not seen that.
Okay, that's it. Then there. Someone out there, go ahead and give me that. That's the only thing that I want to see. I want to see the Rush Hour equivalent of the Asia Open.
Yeah.
After that, we're done.
Yeah, I saw one just before the show opened again, and my biggest takeaway is I just keep thinking, you're the 500th
yeah.
person to post it.
It's
How do you? Okay. All right. I think I'm done with that.
okay.
So did we talk about him? Yes, we absolutely did. I'm not taking anything away from him and the accomplishments and the incredible weekend he had. So in no way, shape, or form am I, taking away from that. It's just the meme. So I've been counting. No, I have not been counting. I'd go as far as almost calling them countless at this point. Ryan. We saw Ryan. Well, I saw Ryan. You didn't. I saw Ryan Pilcher in Thailand. What an incredible adventure. And it's so great to see more people taking in this, we talked about it a little bit, this Southeast Asia tour that's kind of just evolved over these last few years, and it's continuing to pick up steam, and I think you're going to see it in even a greater iteration next year. So, if you have a chance to go play some of these amazing events and be just culturally awakened, please go do so. I had a brief conversation with Madison Walker today, and she asked about the trip, and I said it was great, and I tried to give her the abridged version. And I said, to me, I know I've said it a few times about when I come back, I always feel dumber because everybody always speaks all these other languages, and there's just me with English. So you feel that
Barely.
always, right? Yeah. So a lot of people feel that. The other one is, the hope that that gets reinstated in humanity when I go to some of these other countries and get immersed in the culture. And when I speak of hope, I think of things like the raw honesty that's out there, and I think Thailand's known as like the land or the people of smiles or the land of smiles. Sorry if I screwed that up. But just the raw honesty that's out there to walk around at 3 a.m. or be on a motorbike, whatever the case might be, whether you're in Thailand or Taiwan or wherever. And there's things like there's a lot of night markets and such, and some of these people and these businesses will have their wares and their goods and their merchandise, and they're essentially selling it on a sidewalk or in front of their storefront. And at night, I saw that some of these places cover with a tarp or some kind of blanket, will sometimes cover their product and completely hide it or somewhat hide it. But the reality is, anybody that's walking past at 3 a.m. could help themselves or rob or steal anything that's sitting there. But yet there's a trust and just a raw honesty that is instilled there that it doesn't appear to be a problem. I think of my first night in Taiwan after 9 days in Thailand, and it was very late at night. I was walking down a street, and to see all this merchandise where clearly the night market had shut down, the entire area was shut down, and it just put a smile on my face thinking, oh my gosh, there's this people, their merchandise, their stock, their inventory is just sitting here, and they can leave it sit with the notion that it's going to be there and be perfectly fine. As weird as that sounds, that's so inspiring. And I know someone's mentioned it while I was traveling as well about, I don't know if it was a YouTube test or if people have actually done this or not, but I feel like you could. I said to Madison today, I said, I feel like I could set my laptop down along with a wallet full of money, and I feel like I could set it in the busiest area of the city and come back 24 hours later, and I honestly believe they would still be sitting there. And if they were picked up, it would be only because they were turned into somewhere as a lost and found situation. I don't feel like they would have been stolen.
That was the story from Japan Open many years ago, that Dave Felberg, I believe it was Felberg, left his laptop on a train, came back like an hour later after the train had gone through 2 or 3 times, and it was just sitting there, that people just left it alone. It was just a laptop, probably in a bag is my guess, but it's a different environment.
It's very different, and dare I say it's all too just inspiring, really, to think like that is how so many people operate in that setting and that culture and upbringing and whatever. And then it's such a slap in the face and a rude awakening when you fly back into the U.S. and
you get in your car and the first thing you see is someone giving you the finger,
or someone smashed your car window because they wanted to steal your whatever out of your 99-cent shades out of your or rummage through your car. And I hate to paint such a terrible picture of the U.S., but I'm telling you, as soon as you leave and then you come back and you see how so many of these other places can operate in this peacefulness and this harmony, again, it's truly incredible. And I know I'm not saying all the U.S. is bad, and I live in a very great neighborhood, and and I don't want to say, well, I realize one bad apple can paint a bad picture or ruin it for everyone, but let's be real. Some of these other people are doing it right, and sometimes I don't feel like we are. I think a perfect segment, of course, anytime I go on a long trip, that's the one time I get a chance to watch some movies.
All right, Terry Miller.
Oh, you guys buckle up for these.
This is like better than Siskel and Ebert. I don't know.
We haven't talked about them. You and I haven't.
Not at all. The funny thing is, our wives quite frequently joke about how our relationship in general, about how we talk to each other all the time. A little bit less since the podcast because we save a lot of it for the podcast now. But for instance, I talked to you for 45 minutes today about things. I have not heard anything about these movies, Terry.
No.
What did you choose to watch on your flight?
Quick disclaimer.
Oh, jeez.
Watching
porn on an airplane is rude for the people around you.
Well, did they have headphones in or not? No.
Don't think it matters.
Well, it could.
Degrees.
I support and would fully back or embrace or accept a sponsorship from EVA Air. I have enjoyed my few trips with EVA Air a number of times now, going overseas in the last year. But the one minor area where I feel like EVA Air, which is a little bit of a budget international airline, does lack is their movie and television entertainment choices. So I'm going to set the stage and say
low pickings. Like
slim pickings. Slim pickings. You're exactly right. Now, I did make
low
myself,
quality slim pickings.
I did make myself a list. Let's start on the good side. the better side.
All right, I figured we'd start in order or something, but okay.
Okay, well, I'll go in order of what I watched. You're right. On the way there, I took in critically acclaimed and now even more award-winning Joker.
Okay. Joker, the DC movie about the origins of the character Joker. Not exactly a happy-go-lucky movie. It is kind of a general downer. I heard very well acted, deserving of some awards and such not for the actor and the writer. Terry, your thought. Now you actively avoid superhero movies, of which this is on the fringe of. There's really no superhero action in it, but it is involved in that universe.
If there is a
cape,
animated, that's a good call. A cape or an animated figurine running around, I likely will not find any interest in it. Is that a fair? That's a fair way to put it.
Yes, very.
This, like you said, very dark. I enjoyed it. I feel like what maybe made it more enjoyable for me is that I feel like it's almost a standalone movie that you don't really have to. I'm not in any kind of Marvel, DC, whatever world at all. This is a standalone movie. It could be just randomly about any. It doesn't have to tie to the rest of the comic book superhero world. I thought it was pretty good. It was definitely, dark and creepy, but yet pretty good. It won, I think, just a night or two ago. It won some Academy Awards again.
I believe it won. I think he got Best Actor. For that role, and there might have been a writing one. I'm not sure.
So it was all right. Then that was the only one I consumed. Surprisingly, I think on the 14-hour flight there. Oh, I got another tidbit for EVA Air. But anyway, I'll get back to that.
Mute your phone.
The next one was on the way back, and now we're going to go to the way back machine for this one, and I consumed The Theory of Everything.
Theory of Everything. That is the story about Hawking, Stephen Hawking. And him coming down with, was it? No, he didn't have MS.
Lou Gehrig's.
Lou Gehrig's disease, correct. Critically acclaimed as well back a couple years ago. Well acted, I think.
Can you guess the year?
That was 2013.
Ooh. 2015. 2015.
So, yeah. Okay.
I had never seen it.
I have not seen it.
It looked good by the previews. I never got around to it. Hence, it easily falls into the airplane categories of when I get around to it. And there's a lot of movies, that will probably continue to stay in those categories. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. Halfway through the movie, I'm not spoiling anything at this point. It's 5 years old. Halfway through the movie, I was thinking, and I apologize, I already forgot his wife's name for most of the movie. Very inspiring how loving and supportive she was. And then they had their problems and whatever. But, man, if that is even remotely true for as long as she...
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, very inspiring. And, of course, he in himself, genius and all that. Yeah, just incredible. I thought it was good. Again, I think he won. Who was the gentleman that played...
Eddie Redmayne. Eddie Redmayne.
Wow, good call. Maybe
dude,
I
pulled that one out, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm not looking.
Google
at
it, people. I thought he did an excellent job. It was a great movie. And then we'll end.
let's dive down probably to a little bit lower depths.
I don't think this one ever got.
Did it get an award? A Razzie?
Not one it would want. Not an award it would want to win. I don't remember ever seeing an ad for this.
Oh, come on. Try me out. Let's.
Okay.
I like this.
I'll give you a hint. He was a side-ish character on Modern Family.
Never watch it.
He's very 100% typecast, the main character, in that I feel like he plays the exact same role in every show and movie. I've only seen him in a few, but in every show and movie I've ever seen him in, I feel like he has been identical. The same character every time. It wasn't very good. Although a few parts did make me chuckle, and it was based around, we'll say, your phone's operating system. Think of Alexa,
sure. This is
Siri.
This is the movie about. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying to think of it. I saw commercials for it.
Okay.
About the gentleman's phone, who basically, it's like an Al or a Google,
Yeah, an
whatever,
AI,
and yeah, your phone's AI, and it more or less I don't say from the previews I saw, it leads them on wild goose chases. It basically takes over, and that I would never be able to pull the guy's name out. From
I don't know
million
it.
years.
I still don't know it.
Total side character, kind of a goofy bro kind of guy.
Yeah, well, if I don't know if anyone else by all of those examples, and Johnny's hot on the trail. Can't think of the movie name, I assume.
No, I'm never gonna be able to pull that out.
I don't know if anyone else has a guess on the chat, but Jexy.
Yes.
Jexi.
Correct. Jexy's the name of the assistant.
Yes, the assistant, so to speak. There were a few parts
It's
where it was humorous, of course, done humor.
Course.
There were a few parts, the storyline and everything else, the love interaction and all of that stuff, quite far-fetched. Unfortunately, I felt like as attractive as his female co-host was, I didn't think she was that good of an actress. But I was pulling for her. I really thought, man, is she a bad actress?
Or a bad role.
Or a bad role.
And a bad director. It's hard to say for sure, but you never know.
Yeah, so I watched that.
Okay.
Sadly enough, of all the things that were offered on...
Those were the first two, great options.
Great to catch up and finally
Third
watch.
one, I would probably think about poking my eyes out before watching that.
I'd never heard of it. I don't recall ever seeing a preview for it.
I think I
I'm
saw
flipping through
a handful of previews on TV or the internet, and it was one of those you're like, that's a straight to... If there were DVDs still, that's a straight to DVD movie.
Yeah,
now it's straight to airplane.
Yeah, exactly. I want to look it up and see how poorly it performed. I don't even know how I would look at that. Jexy at the box office, 8.7 million. Yeah, so here, reading off of here, it says Phil has a major dependency issue. He's addicted to his cell phone. He has no friends, and his love life is non-existent. Forced to upgrade to a new phone, Phil soon learns that the latest model comes with Jexy, an artificial intelligence coach, virtual assistant, and cheerleader, so on and so forth. Released October 11th, 2019. So is this you would know? It says budget $5 million, box office 8.7. Is that still considered a success then? Because they're in the black. Is that how that works? Are those numbers read that way?
Funny accounting, but maybe sure. Who knows what they spent on advertising and all this other things? But I would think that is.
Can anyone name him?
That's a break even, or that is a write-off movie.
All right. So the question is, can anyone name him? I'm sure by now.
Well, by now people have already probably Googled it.
Yeah. Adam Devine is the gentleman's name. And he also played what's her name's boyfriend for a while on Modern Family, where again he played a very pretty similar role. And I feel like he's been in a couple other movies that he plays that exact same role. So yeah, Terry's movie review. A thumbs up for The Theory of Everything, a thumbs up for Joker, and a not so much on Jexy. But
you have limited selection and limited options. Sometimes you just have to. I still would have poked my eyes out.
Now, quick other EVA Air. I know you're not you heard me mention you earlier, so I'm sure you're tuned in. You're someone from your customer services listening. I would love it if you guys had a plane that had plugins, and I'm sure everybody says that, but yeah, USB plug-in, whoop-de-doo, like an actual plug-in.
How many planes have actual outlet plugins that you?
That would be a question for everyone else. I almost exclusively fly Southwest, and on the way back I did have to fly Alaska Airlines. They had a plug.
Nice.
The problem was I was so exhausted that I actually didn't get out my computer, which might be
That's
one of the first
fine.
times ever in a flight. But they had a 3-pronged plug for every single seat. And I have
never
in
been in a
heaven.
plane that has a 3-pronged plug. I have been in a plane that has USB, of course, but never a 3-pronged plug.
I'm telling you, my editing would be done if EVA Air had planes that had honestly, like, that's a dream of mine, to have a 14-hour flight with virtually no internet, and to be able to be wide awake and ready to go. I would have all my editing done if I would have had a 3-pronged plug there and back.
So I think here,
'Cause that's why you tune into Smashbox, if listen to me complain about 3-pronged plugs on airplanes.
the Sport of Peace on our chat board asks about the Brody videos, if anybody else is loving them. Have you been able to consume any of the Brody videos?
No.
He's done a few of them now. He did his first round video of him, and you'll have to forgive me because I really haven't caught much of them. I saw a video he posted of Paul McBeth draining like what looked to be about 100-foot putt in a boot. Maybe it was even a little more than that. It was hard to tell, but he is he still gung ho. He is putting out a lot of content. A lot of people are liking it. He's coming off as very genuine. It's exciting for people to see this, no offense, but quasi-celebrity come into the sport. And it's still, it's only February 11th, but for some reason, it feels like it's mid-April for me. Like, we've seen so much stuff over the last few weeks that I feel like the off season has flown by.
Yeah, and I'll follow that up and just say I have not had a chance to consume any of it. I see that a lot of it is coming out, and I feel like Hannah has been working on their vlog side of things. I know Simon Lazat is putting out some more content over and over again, and I see that Brody has been, but I have not consumed 1 minute of any of it, unfortunately. It's just with the traveling. It's funny how much I felt like I really posted to social media while I took this big trip for these 17 or so days, but I didn't actively consume a lot of it, and I felt like I was a little bit more present. I'd occasionally flick through a few things from time to time, but for the most part, I would put something out, and then I would kind of put it down or move on to the next thing, and I didn't actively consume many things over the last few weeks. So, but we'll see how things continue to shake out. I don't know if anyone can answer the question, or if Brody has answered at any point, if he still has any specific event in mind or comfort level of when he feels like he'll be ready, but I'm sure that's still kind of lingers of when will be his first event. And I know we asked him that, and he stated that he said he'd play in his first event when he felt like he was truly ready. So,
and the question is, Nick Starkey brings up a point, is he going to be ready if he can't even do an X step yet? Everything he's throwing is standstill.
I watched who did I watch this last week or weekend perform very well without an X step. There's
of course, but
there's plenty of people that can. Will that be we'll say a component to his game that he's worried about having? He may think he doesn't even necessarily need that yet to be competitive. So that's a good question. So I guess we'll see how that continues to unfold. Disc Golf Nerd says he was disappointed by Paul's explanation of the dis and stuff in their videos together. For one of the all-time greats, he didn't do a very good at making it clear in your opinion. I guess I don't know exactly what you mean because I didn't watch it, but I don't know if you felt like he wasn't descriptive enough, or if it was flight patterns, or if it was plastic types. I don't know exactly what you're referencing, Disc Golf Nerd, as to why you were disappointed in that. But I guess I think back to some of our pros as we were just talking to Zoe. I'll say it's kind of apparent that some pros are more comfortable describing technique, form, and mechanisms, and you may have someone that's one of the best in the world that may or may not be able to articulate exactly what they're doing because they just go out and do it, and they're not necessarily have that instructor heart or background.
And that could be. It could be that Paul, and as we know,
But I'm not just saying that of Paul. I mean
no.
generically.
But we'll say, speaking of the discs, that Discraft, like every manufacturer, has so many molds and so many lines of plastic, and combining them, is the Wasp OS in ESP more stable than the Zone in D plastic? And there's so much that I bet you Paul probably doesn't even know regarding all those discs, and just explaining a lot of that stuff can be tough. And I know it wasn't built for me. I think I said that, maybe I said this last week. I got through about 3 minutes of each of those videos.
Okay.
Where Paul sits down and he's explaining, like, they're walking through a warehouse, or they're sitting there like, oh, these are your mids.
Yeah.
And I couldn't watch anymore personally because it bored me.
Yeah, it's not content.
It's
like
not
you said,
content
that
for
you
me.
need to know about or care about.
I don't throw a lot of plastic much anymore. I do when I can. I have my bags mostly set unless I can somehow find a new disc or get something like that. But ultimately, most of that stuff we already know. I know what a Buzz does versus a Zone versus a Comet versus the different types of plastic for the most part. So I had a hard time digesting it, but I saw a lot of people out there saying, "Oh my God, I wish this was out 6 months ago when I started playing, or a year ago when I started playing, because it was so informative." And I can see that.
It's just simply not for you.
It's just simply not for me. So some people think that Paul did a really great job. Some people I can understand being like, Paul could have done a better job.
Sure.
But like, as you say, just because you are the best player in the world doesn't necessarily translate into a descriptive measure of your tools
or your instruction
or your instruction. I think Paul's probably a very good instructor as far as teaching this is how you throw, but I think the problem was maybe just the disc description is what I believe is what I'm seeing on here. Paul's advice on every hole: throw this overstable meat hook on an Anheuser. Sure. Yeah. that's kind of funny.
All right. Well, as I'm continuing to look down the comment section here, people are talking about just that, as to whether it really suited, or if Paul maybe should have had more of a lead as opposed to.
It's Brody's channel, though. Like, a lot of that stuff went out on Brody's channel, so I think that it as much as we want to hear Paul describe it, Brody's fans and subs and all his people probably they look at Paul and go, cool, he's the best in the world, but I want to hear Brody. Brody talks. Brody's my man.
Yeah, sure.
Like that. So that it could be an element of that.
Ryan Pilcher saying, plus the course they played were almost over 200 feet. They're talking about some of the distance, and I think that continues to be one of the conversation pieces as to whether or not how far he's throwing, like you just said, if he's using a standstill, and what parts of his games are developing. I saw a post earlier today that somebody said, he made a whole bunch of putts to finish out one of the videos or whatever.
He seems to be a pretty solid putter. Right
and the other thing that I that has been kind of fun that I've seen go around, I think this is almost now a full week or more, the whole 10 putts as quick as you can contest. And I don't know if that was started officially by Paul and Brody, but then I saw Eagle McMahon get in on it. I saw Thomas Gilbert get in on it. A lot of people doing the challenge of making 10 putts as fast as you can from 20 feet, and then it continued to kind of cycle around some of our superstars. It was just a great, wholesome, it doesn't have to always be, but it was a great, just innocent, wholesome, fun little contest that we saw kind of cycle around. Did you see any of those posts?
I saw the original with Paul and Brody. I did
Okay.
not catch any of the
I think,
recycled ones, so to speak.
if I recall, and I'm sure someone can correct me, I feel like Eagle officially finally whittled it down to the fastest possible, well, the fastest time on record. I don't know if it was 6 point some seconds or 5 point some seconds. He was throwing drivers almost vertical to
Okay.
ultimately. I mean, they were all fast, and they continued to get better and better and better. And I thought the fastest that I ultimately saw was Eagle. And then I think they even offered if somebody beat him, that to anyone that beat him or something, they were somehow they incorporated grip equipment to giving away a bag.
That's pretty cool.
For the efforts. So and I'm sure somebody out there can correct me. It was I'd love to see more of those things kind of cycle around. I think those are a lot of fun.
They certainly are.
All right.
I want to talk real quick about what's become my weekly Skip Ace updates.
Yep.
The website has been updated with some new features. It's got some new league management features. So people who are running leagues can now do things like add events in the middle of the season. Before, I kind of had it locked down. Once you created your league, that was it. That was last year. I always kind of knew this was coming. It was just a matter of getting there in steps. Now your league, because as we know right now, even things like MVP Open isn't on the PDGA schedule. And it might not be for another couple weeks.
Sure.
So people that want to create a league, rather than having to come to me and say, hey, can you add this event? Now you can do it on your own. You can see all the members that are in your league, whether or not they've made a pick, just basically a yes or no for the most recent upcoming event, which is great. There are still kind of the head-to-head events, the event matchups. You can delete old leagues that you are in now. We found a nice way that
does it archive them or just permanently blow them out of the system?
It archives them. Don't tell anybody.
Okay. Oh shoot, I should.
It's a secret.
Asked you on
It's like called a soft delete. Basically, it doesn't show up in anybody's thing. Like I just went through this week and I removed the Yuli's league that we did like 3 years ago. In fact, one guy came on and he's like, hey, I'm trying to find the Yuli's league. I made a bunch of picks last year, and I think you're like one of 12 people that did maybe last year, because Yuli stopped making picks. We stopped making picks on that.
Sure.
But there are other leagues. Infinite Discs, as I said, huge supporter, as Zoe was talking about. They are supporting Skip Ace again in the Skip Ace and Infinite Discs free league, the one that anybody can sign up for. If you're not automatically signed up when you log in, you can use the join code SKIP, SKIP, and that's a $15, a $10, and a $5 gift certificate every week that we have one of our primary events. And a new, I went with got a new logo. So
yeah, that's funny. You had pitched a few.
I pitched a few of them
to me.
Yep.
And none of them were, mind numbing.
No, I will say, like, there were a few that were bad. There were some
Sure.
that were decent. I ended up going with one with, I don't know how you describe it. It's a little more reminiscent of almost the Smashbox logo. It looks a little different when you add color to it, because I think the one I showed you was more monotone. This is definitely...
I don't even think I saw any variation of this one.
I think you did, but it was all black, and because you had even said people are going to look at that and think the Smashbox logo. So it's like an S with an A kind of surrounding it in red. I liked it. I thought it was the best option I had, so that's out there. Other than that, I think that's kind of it for Skip Ace. I'm still doing some. We're still going to add some more features throughout the year, but I will say I've put a pretty penny into this website, and I am ready to take a break from financially supporting the website and my developer and just get to some playing. But if you come up with any ideas or any thoughts on how we can make the site better, always just reach out to me.
Somebody's asking to see it. Why don't you throw it up on the screen,
sure.
So that people can see it if you're watching along here on YouTube or on the Facebooks?
I can probably do that. Let's see.
Make sure you just pull up your password page so everybody can
Yep.
see.
The password page is
And for those that are silly enough that don't know what you're even talking about when we refer to skipace.com, what exactly is it, Johnny?
So skipace.com is a fantasy disc golf website, kind of like fantasy football or fantasy baseball or any fantasy sport. Fantasy golf, I guess, would be a pretty close equivalent, where there's two different formats you can play in. You can play in the kind of a standard league where you make just your picks and everyone gets points based on where they finish, or there's a survivor league where you can create a league and your player has to finish in the top 15 every week. Once you pick a player, you can't use them anymore throughout the season. So there's all sorts of different ideas about whether or not you'd want to pick Paul McBeth right away, or do you want to save him for Worlds or a later. It makes it very difficult. I think this is the third or fourth year I've run this, and I don't think I've made it past week 3. Just it seems one year Yuli messed me up at Memorial, and I think Ricky got me one other year at an event where he finished 16th and just wrecked me, which is always the most disappointing
wreck his
thing.
face for that.
Trust me, he owes me.
I don't care if you just had the most disappointing finish in the last 10 years, Ricky.
I know.
You knocked me out of my fantasy league.
Come on. So you can go out there, create custom leagues, private leagues for your friend, the event matchups, which are basically only last 1 week. So if nobody joins, they just go away. And if you can limit it to the number of people, they're pretty standard. I sent out a big email blast today, so if you didn't see it, you might get another one in the next week or so that I send out just to remind people. But it's free, doesn't cost you anything. Go ahead and sign up at skipace.com and check it out.
Well, there you have it. So, play along with your friends, set up the leagues like you said. And the customization, as you've been continuing to build it out, I know is obviously one of the most challenging parts. But maybe you have a regional series in your state or your hometown or in your area, or maybe you want to pick all the biggest events and then invite your buddies to play in it. It's such a great way to go out and talk some trash, put some stuff on the line. I think we should have just a running or an open invitation to anyone to always share with us what you guys are putting on the line. I mean,
that's good.
Yeah, sure. It's of course you guys could put up $500 a person and play in it, and I guess I'd like to hear it if it's that high stakes. But if there's some unique thing that you and your buddies are all playing for in your fantasy league, you should share it with us. We'd love to see some of those creative ideas. I don't know. I'll throw one out there. Say the league loser has to carry someone else's bag for 5 tournaments or 5 league rounds or something like that. Or I mean, I don't know. You guys can get creative with it.
What we kind of used to do is we had what we called the pink bag challenge when we were younger. Whoever had the worst tournament round had to carry all their discs in this tiny little pink bag. It was like a beginner bag. Do that, play with your friends, and every week
the lowest point
earner has to carry like a beginner bag, or you get to take
something else to make it a little less fun or enjoyable for them out on the course.
Exactly. Even if it's just a casual round, put something on the line. It's a really great idea, Terry. I think Ryan Pilcher's right. I don't believe it was Ricky. I believe it was Kale that knocked me out a couple.
Sounds like Kale would.
So anyway, free. It's going to stay free. I don't foresee charging for it anytime soon, but go out there and check it out.
One other great catch-up that I had with some fine individuals when I was on my travels, caught up with Chris Fennell and his son, and the cool story about them is that Chris was the individual that was drawn in 2019 to win a free trip to the following year's Samui Swine Classic. So Chris and his son came from Texas, if I recall, which is where they're out of, and they came, and then his son, who I want to say is 16, if I forget, started a YouTube channel. This was kind of his first attempt at blogging. I think he's an actor in his spare time and does some acting, but he started a YouTube channel, blogged the adventure, and I can't think of a better way to get your channel going than you and your dad traveling to Thailand to play in disc golf tournaments and to have that experience together. So at some point, I know I got an interview with them. I'll release that as a separate piece as you see the Samui Swine montage of just copious amounts of videos get released from that. And I want to throw in there along with that, Dynamic Disc was the presenting sponsor of the 2019 version. And then here in 2020, the Samui Swine worked with Innova. So both have been gracious sponsors, and Innova and the PDGA threw in a little additional support for additional bonus coverage and recognition for the Samui Swine and for the Asia Open. So I want to again thank Innova Champion Disc along with the PDGA on those efforts. So thank you guys very much. We're going to get some bonus footage that's going to come out of the Samui event as a direct result of that help. So one of the things, I'll throw it out there, one of the things that will come as bonus footage out of the Samui event, she came up a little short, but we have Paige Pierce's...
Is that a short joke?
Nope, I'm already short. Paige Pierce's first 3 competitive rounds of disc golf with her brand new Discraft discs and sponsorship. So you'll be able to check those out and maybe get a little insight as to what she was throwing, what worked for her, what didn't. It was just a really kind of I'll say a side note to all of the other excitement there, that thinking, okay, I've got a little bit of history preserved here as she made her return back to the Discraft family. So pretty cool.
Let's give something away.
Yeah, let's. I've got some great... Well...
no, I've got...
You've got something. I've got some great stuff to give away too. So, but so does Johnny.
I got no clue what's in here, but this is the...
Holy cow, that's a big box.
This is one of the big boxes. This is the disc member box that we're going to give away this week. I promised that we would give it away. It's one of the thicker boxes. I have no clue what's in here. I haven't opened it up.
Let me shake it.
Yeah. Shake it like a Polaroid.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
I went through a little Outcast.
There's some kind of... there's definitely a
week.
disc in there, I've got to say.
There's always a disc.
There's definitely some form of apparel. It's really light.
Bikini briefs.
What would you put on them if you were going to send them out, disc golf related?
What are we trying to convey? Like just
you. What would you put on them?
Like your support for the sport? Is it supposed to be like we're coming up on Valentine's Day? Some people that are listening to this will probably
think it would be disc golf related. Yeah, if you're going disc golf themed and you're going to
I know, but
patternize, I don't think that's a word, but you're going to put a pattern on some bikini briefs, as you called them. What pattern would you put on them? Smashbox?
That has a lot of
fits.
It does fit. It definitely fits. I mean that would make the most sense for us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a basket seems to be the most. Put the biscuit in the basket.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Anyway, we're gonna give away this disc member box. What this basically is, disc member, for those of you that maybe are new to the show or don't know, it's a subscription service that you can sign up for. I believe it is $25 a month. And I'm going on a limb and say that's what it still is. And you get at least a $40 value every month. They send you a box. Usually it has a different manufacturer in it. And it's just a really good way to, try out a new disc and get some cool apparel with it. You can sometimes get, it's way over there. I'm not going to bother getting up again.
Accessories.
Shirts. I got a little Frisbee that I want to, that from Disc Gulp that we threw around, and the shirts and things like that. So disc member. And if you do happen to sign up, let them know you found them on Smashbox.
Yes.
Terry, what number do we want to?
Ooh, what are my choices?
Really just a number. The number of I'm going to generate, and then we have 203 people signed up for our Patreon and the weekly giveaway option.
Okay, I'm going to say this was my It not only was my second trip to Thailand, but it was also the second PDG event that Jackie Chen played in when he played in the Asia Open. So 2 is the magic number.
2 is the magic number. All right. These are sorted alphabetically. The first one is 52. The second one is 176. So we're scrolling down to the bottom.
Oh, Cody, you had it.
176 is Shay Stevens.
Shay Stevens.
So thank you very much for being a Patreon supporter, Shay. It was our pleasure to send this out. And real quickly, speaking on Patreon, the discs we're literally just waiting on Innova at this point. They should be getting them to us. For those of you at the $3 level, Innova has the artwork, and they should hopefully be sending that to us shortly, where Terry and I will take the time to sit down either at his house or maybe right here and just sign a bunch of discs and ship them out for all of our Patreon supporters for the 2019 season. We apologize for having it just a little bit later than normal. It got a little bit busy between Terry's travels and Skip Ace and a couple other things that we just really haven't had a chance to.
You guys can blame me.
Nail this out.
I'll take it.
It's the last year I let him run it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
You'll still order it, but I'm going to take care of the artwork from now on.
So yes, look for those. We'll make sure to let you know when to start looking for them. Don't look for them yet. They're not in your mailbox yet. But
don't literally go out right now and look for them. You won't see them.
Yeah, we'll give you a heads up when they're officially en route, so that you can.
When they're in your mailbox, we'll call you.
Yep. As soon as they arrive, we're going to put a tracking device
directly. Yeah, we all have all your phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's really creepy, but that's what we do.
We'll go with that. Disc Golf Pro Tour is going to be. I mean, I will be working in Vegas. I don't know how much that's been officially announced or not. I'd feel bad if it feels like an afterthought, and I don't know if they did or if I did yet or not. But for those who somehow, if you don't know, I'll stumble over all those words and say I'm super excited. I'm going to be working with the Las Vegas Challenge. I'm going to be covering the FPO lead card for next day footage for all 4 rounds. Very excited to be doing so. That will be on the Disc Golf Guy channel. I know of the other media teams that are involved, but I don't feel that I have seen any announcements or not, so I won't make any other announcements. But other media teams are going to be involved. Las Vegas Challenge, super excited to do so. And then we swing right into the Memorial from there. And, of course, that's where we'll be kicking off the live season. Yeah, so I guess that really hasn't been talked about. Maybe I should make a post about that tomorrow. But super excited to be heading out to the Memorial yet again and to the Las Vegas Challenge.
We're all excited. We're excited for the season to start, to be honest. I was telling my wife, on one hand, I feel like I need another month of off time, of off season before we get into the broadcasting. But part of that is just every year at the beginning of the year, I get nervous about broadcasting. But I do want the season to start.
Not far away. All right. The Sport of Peace says, good night, boys. Thanks, Dana. Glad Terry is in Vegas. Yay, ladies getting on the videos. Yes, super excited to do so. Last year I was there in the FPO chase card, and this year I'll be heading up the FPO lead card. So working with Matt from Kids Disc Golf in doing so. And again, really looking forward to it. I don't know that I've got anything else of any real significance here, Johnny. Oh, as soon as we close out, I'll think of like the 3 things.
I'm sure you will.
That I would have loved to touch on, but I really don't think I have too much of to follow up. I think it goes without saying with my constant gushing over the last few weeks that I thank you, Nigel, and everyone over at the Samui Swine presented by Innova, and thank you to Luke Butch, as those 2 gentlemen are really the ones that most made things happen. All of the video supporters, all of the course supporters, the T-Sign supporters, all my friends, all my new friends over there, and from around the world. Thank you guys for all of that. And then thank you for my first ever experience being in Taiwan, and specifically down in Kaohsiung City, and taking in the Asia Open. Also, just a memory I will never forget, and it was icing on top of it to see the story unfold of Jackie Chen, as that was incredible. But being there, experiencing the event, and watching it all unfold the way that it did, it was also pretty incredible. So thank you guys for those memories. And before I left, like I said, Maricopa Open is also in the queue, and shouldn't be too much longer before that releases. So I'm going to have just an onslaught, just a ridiculous amount of footage that's going to continue to unfold over the next few weeks. And I'm going to, I might have something, and that's the same day the memorial starts. So I won't release, a Thailand video the same day the memorial starts, but I might release it the day after the memorial's done so that there's no downtime and you have something else to consume, for instance. So look for those all to come up. Cody asks, any big sponsor signing up for 2020? Hooters would be a fun one. They sponsor Pro-Am traditional golf tourneys. Pepsi, Gatorade, Red Bull. Not
Bring
that
it
I
all
know
on.
of. Yeah, if you know of any, got any hot leads, I will go ahead and say if someone does want to get in on sponsoring or supporting the FPO coverage at the Vegas event, the one I'll say main restriction that I have is that you can't be a competing sponsor in disc manufacturing to Innova. Outside of that, I have, I'll say, free reign to accept other sponsorships. And if there's something you're interested in promoting, a product, a website, a club, a tournament, any of those could find their way into getting recognized on my video and or some shout outs and additional recognition. So it's certainly open. Feel free to reach out. And Nick, I appreciate that you always love the videos. Thank you so much for that. All right, Johnny, I think we're ready to close things out.
I
It's
agree.
been fun. It's been a good update. I don't believe it's already actually been 3.5 hours.
You haven't been here for a while, so we needed to give everybody what they
Holy
deserve.
cow.
We've had short after shows recently, so now we need to really make sure that we give our Patreon supporters and everybody else the content that they deserve, whether they like it or not.
Way late, but yeah, very appropriate and overdue. Congratulations to Miles and Courtney with the arrival of their daughter, who they've named Birdie. So congratulations, as their family has expanded by one, and there's another new little one running around in the house. Well, not quite yet, but good luck and God bless on adding that second daughter to the household. I know all too well what that's like. So congratulations, Miles of Paragon, and thank you for all the love and support you throw our way endlessly to both
Forever.
Smashbox and
not
to the
upstairs,
Disc
though.
Golf Guy. We appreciate it. Peace, love, harmony, all those good, fun things. Be nice to each other. I don't know, all that stuff. Don't be a jerk. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been Smashbox Podcast After Show 284. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.